All right, there we are. We start every stream saying, "Hey, there we are." It's like,
hey, there we are.
Always surprised to see things working, you know?
You would think it would be a more consistent effort, but it is different every time.
You would think. Well, especially because, like I was telling you, it's been a while since I streamed in this room.
Yes.
This is my retro room. The main reason I'm streaming up here is because PS2 is like probably like the most major console that I have no way set up to stream on my living room setup.
Okay.
And also, that's right, Stefan. My PS5 is being borrowed by Drumble, so he can play through Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So even if I had the PS5 Sly Cooper, of course, I guess you could play it on PS4. But I heard that one has problems. So
Oh, really? I didn't hear that at all.
I heard something like it runs like, I mean, maybe it's been patched, but like apparently it runs like 10% too fast or something like that.
You would think it would be the other way. Like it
Yeah.
would be a bad problem, not
Yeah.
too fast.
So anyway, I am joined here by Max, who does just like a bunch of stuff. you do a podcast.
I mean, I write and I podcast.
You introduced yourself to us sometime last year, asking if we could guest on your podcast. Your podcast is called the Max Frequency Podcast, which I think is a very enjoyable title you've got there.
Thank you.
But I mean, you've had your hands in all kinds of pies. I mean, you've written for IGN. You've done play testing on games like Humanity.
One game.
Okay, one game. Maybe it'll happen again. But it was kind of fun because you and I were talking about that the other day because you asked me to guest on your podcast last week, and
Yes.
we were just talking beforehand. I was looking at what you had been up to, and I saw you had posted something about how you had done playtesting on Humanity. I'm like, oh, that's really funny because I was like literally just last night testing the trying out the trial version of Humanity on the Quest 3. Which I tried the game on Game Pass previously and I really liked it, but like something about like all the people wandering around, like looking at them in 3D, just like feels very impressive. So I did go ahead and buy that version of the game.
Oh, good.
I wanna play through it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, you should. I hope you enjoy it. I've played through it. I think technically now it's like 3 or 4 times, and most of those were pre-production. So it was cool to see the game evolve over time, and then race to platinum it before it came out publicly, because that felt like a cool thing to try and do.
Yeah,
you would think doing a puzzle game and playtesting it, you would start to memorize the puzzles, but
Yeah.
no, eventually you'd get stuck and you'd be like, "How did I do this?"
Yeah, and I see Kebabs here saying, "Hey, I do freelance guides for IGN too." So
Yeah, that's what I used to do.
And I knew Kebabs would be very excited about this because she is a big fan of all of like the Sony mascot platformer games. So yeah, I think there'll be some excitement. This is pretty new to me. I think I've played a little bit of this game before, but not much. I got this game like way back, like probably at the tail end of college or just after college. Because hey, I like 3D platformers, but that was also like early in the backlogging days, before Drum and I like really made the backloggery just yet. But we were kind of developing the system amongst ourselves and another friend, and I was kind of this frame of mind of like, there were a lot of games that I was just like trying them for a little bit and not really giving them the chance they deserved. And like, if it wasn't just like grabbing me from like the first few minutes, I was just like, you know what? I probably don't need this game, and I sold it. This unfortunately was fell victim to that. And you know what? When you suggested this game as a game to play on the stream tonight, I woefully discovered that I recently accidentally bought a copy, and I already had one on my shelf.
So you have 2 now.
I bought this game 3 times, once on accident. Yeah, I hate that I'm at that both that age mentally and that point in my collection where like I'm so, like usually I know what I've got when I'm looking at like a game store and I'm like, I know I don't have this, but sometimes I'm a little unsure. And I'll like check my backloggery. Okay, I don't have this, or oops, I do have this, and I won't buy it. But like, I think it was, I think it must have been a couple of months ago because I have this stack of games that I just haven't gotten around to like cleaning and shelving yet. And
Yeah.
I went to my shelf I pulled the game off the shelf and I opened it up. And I'm like, oh yeah, really clean disc. And then I was walking by that stack of games and I just saw the corner of this game peeking out. Like, wait, but that's over. The second game's like, I bought them in like April or something. I'm like, oh my gosh, did I really? I was obviously very confident when I bought that because I didn't check if I didn't own it. I was like, oh yeah, I don't have this. I've been meaning to get this again. So yeah, oops.
Yeah. It happens.
It was $15, you know.
Oh,
I think
that's
that
not bad.
the sequels are a little more expensive though, I think. Like maybe in the 40s or something, 30s, 40s.
And you want to make sure you get the complete edition of Sly 3 with the red and blue 3D glasses included in the box.
Ooh.
So you can play that way.
Oh wow, yeah. I mean, I've got a bunch of red blue 3D.
They're styled after like Sly colors, though.
Oh,
They were fun.
Very fancy. Well, why don't we just get straight into it? And actually, before I totally get straight into it, let me refer to my handy dandy list of super chats, because there was one before the stream. Tilt Toast has been very consistent with those pre-stream things. And says, happy Sunday, everyone. Great job on the FF13 Digital Foundry video try. What's everyone's favorite PS2 mascot platformer? Well, by the way, that DF thing that launched today, that was something that John and I did like 2 years ago, I think. And
I think so. That sounds right.
Mm-hmm. And they were, it was released all in one for Patreon subscribers. Or was it? They might have actually been separate. I forget. Regardless, they were released publicly with like Final Fantasy 13 and then 13-2 and Lightning Returns separately. So now it's like presented publicly as one thing. They've been doing these marathon things, which they got the idea from us, and we got the idea from Joe Redifer. You know, those marathons, some people love them, some people hate them. I apologize to those who don't understand the point, but you know what? They kind of help keep your channel afloat. They make pretty decent money. I ain't gonna lie. So you know, it's you know, it's not
They're good to put on the background sometimes. Just have like the soothing voice of trying Coury talking about how to scale your Super Nintendo videos.
I mean, I wouldn't do it personally because I can't multitask, and I would just start watching the video.
Yes.
But for all of you people who do multitask, which I think is most people seem to love putting stuff on in the background. That's what the marathons are for. But yeah, that Final Fantasy 13 video was a lot of fun. The 13-2 and Lightning Return stuff wasn't even originally going to be part of it, but I was just so like determined, like we have to do these.
Have to do it all.
Yeah, I kind of took the lead on the sequels section there. But yeah, favorite PS2 mascot platformer, I would probably say Jak and Daxter 1. I've not played Jak 2 or 3 yet. Jak 2 is on my pledge list this year. Yeah. I don't know what you think of that one. I mean, I don't love what they did with it aesthetically, but
It was a big. Oh man, those Grand Theft Auto games are pretty hot.
I was mad about it at the time. I was real mad about it at the time, and I only tried a little bit. I didn't give it much of a chance, but like all these years later, like I'm going into it knowing what it is, and hopefully, you know, I can find something there. You know, to maybe enjoy a little bit.
I like them, but they are a complete tonal shift.
Yes, I was not happy about it at the time. But yeah, you know, the Ratchet and Clank games on PS2 are fantastic, but I didn't get into the series until PS3. So, sure. And you know, I mean, Ratchet and Clank is a series that just keeps getting better and better and better. On the whole, it kind of went through that weird part, like in the end of the PS3 generation with like those like Vita games and PS3, like the multiplayer and the tower defense, and Into the Nexus is okay, but it's, you know, it did lose that 60 frames per second that was so nice about the series. Yeah, I mean, I think like Kraken Time and Rift Apart, like those really stand out more to me than the PS2 games. But they're very good. But yeah, Jack 1 I think is an all-time classic for sure.
Mine is Sly 2.
Ooh.
Sly 2 I remember writing about this in high school. Basically, it did the Grand Theft Auto 5 thing where you had 3 different protagonists pulling off heists. Because in Sly 1, you just play as Sly.
Okay.
But Sly 2, you get to play as his friends and partners, Bentley and Murray, and like set up all these heists. And then the end of each world is going up against the boss and pulling off this big heist you've prepared for. And I've loved that game forever. I didn't grow up with a PlayStation at all. Actually, all of the neighbor kids had PlayStations. And one kid, so I'd go to their house to play stuff. And there was one kid down on the corner. He had the Sly Cooper games, and I just played them at his house. And I saw someone in the chat earlier, I think it was K-Babs, mentioned the Miss Ruby fight. Like, I remember us being stuck on that for days. And the race. There's a race in like the second and fourth world. Those were also tough as kids. But Sly 2, I was homeschooled, and one day he was still at school, but his mom let me come into the house to wait for him to come home. And we were at the end of the game, and I just sat in his room and I beat it before he got home. I was like, I beat it. I'll see you later.
Wow.
So I have a soft spot for Sly 2.
Real quick, I'll call out the 999 super chat from George Green. Thank you so much. Saying, I've been enjoying the Sunday streams. They are a nice way to end the weekend. Thanks. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks.
And then cool. Also from my old buddy Enchilada Backloggery. Thank you. Oh, knowing that he's been a member for 8 months. Saying less than a week to Dawn Trail. The hype is real. Enjoy Sly Cooper. Always a good one in my eye. Hope all is well, gentlemen. May the fun never end. Yeah. I was actually spent most of the afternoon today recording before shots for Final Fantasy XIV because once it goes down for the Dawn Trail maintenance, version 2.0 graphics are gone. So I won't be able. I had like 3 days left to get, one last group of shots for comparisons. And I wanted to have some of the PC version at max settings. So that's what I did today. I don't especially relish booting up PC versions, but I felt like I needed to grab something for it before it was gone forever. So
yeah, can't get that back.
Yeah. By the way, I don't think for some reason, I'm sorry, y'all, for some reason I might have the pop-up stuff a little bit broken. I'll have to ask Coury about that. Because, again, I haven't streamed from this room for a while. It was kind of in a state of, I was moving things around a bunch, and I swapped a PVM for a different TV, and I had to get the camera set up again. So it's just been a while since I streamed in here. So a few things might be out of sorts, but I think we are good enough to go. So let's go.
Yeah. I did, I hope I'm saying it right. I apologize to anyone whose username I pronounced wrong. But K-Babs, you asked what guides I worked on. Kebabs. Okay. Like the food.
Like the food.
Kebabs. I got it now. What guides did you work on at IGN? I started with Tropical Freeze. I just kind of like threw myself into it and ended up working with the hired writer. I think it was Andrew Eason. And so I did a couple other guides after that, like Captain Toad and stuff for free, kind of learning the ropes. And the first one I was paid for was Tales from the Borderlands and Dying Light. That's kind of where I started in 2015. And then I went on to do like The Witcher 3, Until Dawn, Just Cause 3. I did a McDonald's Monopoly one year.
Oh.
Sam wanted to try that, so I went to the drive-thru.
Like McDonald's Monopoly is a game, like a video game.
Yeah, like no.
I know they did the thing, with the
like the drive-through and like pull it off the cup, to see if he wanted to write a guide for SEO purposes, obviously, but just to like write the odds of you getting, you know, certain pieces. So I got fries and Cokes for a stretch there. It was something. I ended up, I kind of finished out with God of War 2018, Breath of the Wild, and Red Dead 2 were kind of the ones I went out. I think technically the last game I did was Mario Kart Tour, and yeah, Red Dead 2 was the last like big one. I also did Metal Gear Survive. I played that so you guys wouldn't have to.
I saw some people commenting that that, you know, one of the nice things about the new version is that you can invert the x-axis camera controls. Yeah, so this is push left is pan right, push right is pan left, which you know, back in the day I was a big proponent of that because I do video stuff and I'm like, well, that's like a tripod. You push left on a tripod to pan right and vice versa. Right. You know, inverted horizontal and vertical very much made sense to me. But it was the PS3 generation that kind of forced me to try to learn to adapt to up is up, down is down, left is left, right is right. Because
hey Bentley, I think I'm seeing
so many games like Uncharted and Ratchet and Clank and Infamous, so many games, third-person games were kind of adopting this control scheme in that generation, where it was really like you were always aiming, like, you know, you do the fire from the hip thing, right? You know, so I used to kind of separate it in my mind, like, you know, I'm turning the camera around the character, and then I'm like holding the L trigger, and, you know, and then I'm aiming. But I found it very difficult to make that transition smoothly, especially because, you know, of firing from the hip. So I'm like, I have to get used to up is up, you know, down is down, whatever. Because they're treating it more like mouse controls, but on analogs, on a right analog stick. So I was like, I'm going to have to. So now it is a little hard going back to this stuff, but, you know, I can do it. I especially for like N64, like when I play Mario 64, it just makes sense to me. Like you know,
and Mario 64 is a great example of that because the camera is technically a character in the environment.
It's a cameraman.
They show you that.
Yes.
It's a cameraman, and so it does. I remember actually coming back to these games at one point, you know, after being immersed in the PS3 generation and stuff, and struggling going back to these, you know, these camera controls and having to like teach my brain to play again this way.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're not alone.
I think someone was saying, assuming that's accurate, that yeah, you can apparently swap the controls, but it's interesting. There's no like up down, so it does lock your perspective ahead. It's just the left right. So
yeah. I love how the game starts like a movie. Like they have these title cards of like featuring Sly and the Fiendish Five. It's such a mood. They really came out swinging. I mean, and we didn't even see it on stream, but like when you boot the disc up and it's going through, you know, the Sucker Punch logos and stuff, it shows Sly like sneaking in and the alarm breaking and stuff. It's just, this game drips with atmosphere.
People were also saying, I think maybe the PS3 version got rid of the weird motion blur. It's like,
I think
since it's actually really obnoxious looking right here because there's like a little, well, actually the slowdown went away now that what's his name, Bentley went away. It's gone, but it's slowed down. But like it almost looks like the double image that you could see, like, you know, 30 FPS on a CRT. I don't really see 30 FPS as a double image on a CRT, but some people do. But I definitely see it with, like, black frame insertion on like, a modern TV, where it's like a weird, uncomfortable double image. And, like, that's what it looks like. It's not great, but it's not that egregious either. I mean, the game does run fairly smoothly for the most part.
Yeah, it's something I never, I guess, really noticed, but also when I played this, I was I didn't really know the difference of things.
Yeah.
You know, this was before I discovered my life in gaming and learned all the stuff I would need to learn.
Oops.
And actually, I no longer have that PS3 collection physically, so and that's one I regret. I actually regret reselling my entire PS3 collection. This is probably the greatest collection mistake. I sold everything, except Sly 4, Metal Gear Solid 4. I think that's it. I think that's all I kept. Oh, and Assassin's Creed 3 because GameStop wouldn't take it because they had so many copies. So but I sold everything, and I recently, whenever they announced they were going to shut it all down, that's when I was like, well, it's time to really get the collection back. And that one is still elusive. I haven't found a good copy yet for what I would think is a fair price, but tough to come by.
And I was going to give it to you as a little token of my... Hey, you know, that bazooka really brings up the color of
You know, I'm always amused by the movie trope where like two characters just reference like some city, you know, like remember like I haven't seen you since back in Bombay or like this is just like back in whatever, like you have just like no context for what this situation was, but the characters are like always referencing this like event.
Yes, and it's this piece of world building that you just get thrust into these relationships, and you'll see it. Well, actually, I guess you're probably a little bit ahead with.
I wasn't expecting
Carmelita.
a police inspector to be like jumping around like a ninja and firing an electric
Oh my
bazooka
gosh,
at
she's
me.
the best.
I have to admit.
Yes, Carmelita. She's always jumping and shooting and chasing you, and it's
exit.
so good. Yeah, they just lean into this French trope, and
Once again, my
it's
gang
so
and I have
funny.
given Inspector Carmelita
I-
Fox the slip.
I mean,
I
this
was
game,
surprised
like
to
all
see
this
how well
stuff's
she
coming
took it.
back to me. I remember renting
Finally,
it
the secret police
up at my
file I've been
grandmother's house in
searching for all
Michigan,
these years.
and she didn't have a memory card, so we would just leave the PS2 on to keep going. It's just
when I was
so.
just a kid, bouncing on my father's
This game
knee.
just drips with
You see,
character.
I come
and
from a long
big
line
part
of
of that is
master
its cast of
thieves who kept all
characters.
their secrets of sneaking and
Even the
stealing
color
in an
coordinated
ancient
subtitles.
Yeah.
Thievius, Raccoonus.
Unfortunately, there's no
It's
subtitles
anyone who
on
read it
this
learned to be
scene
especially
here.
sneaky, which is why we specialize
whatever
in stealing
reason.
from criminals.
Oh,
After all, there's
yes.
no honor,
Probably
no
the
challenge,
cutscene
no fun
itself.
stealing from
The
ordinary people.
subtitles, I guess, were
You rip
only
off a master
in
criminal, and you know you're a master
like the
thief.
in-game cutscenes, I suppose.
Yeah.
Well, on
yeah.
the night I was
They
supposed
do
to
kind of a
head
little
out,
bit of a Metal
5
Gear
visitors
style.
came
You
unannounced.
can like turn the character heads with the control
Oh
sticks.
yeah, yeah,
My
yeah.
father
With
fought to
the
protect us, but the gang
in the
of villains known
cutscene,
as
like the
Thievius Five
the
overpowered
codec
and
call,
ransacked
basically.
their house until they
Yep.
found the
And
Thievius
Kebabs is right.
Raccoonus.
Carmelita does have a
Our family's
completely different
manual
voice actress in
every
every single
Every-
game.
filthy hands.
Like
Every
all,
game.
all 4
They tore the book
games.
into 5 pieces and split it.
That's-
Each villain
That's pretty.
disappeared to the
That's
farthest
pretty.
corners of the world.
That's like a tradition now. Like you have to like follow that.
You have to do it. Yes.
Broken alone,
It's
I
like,
looked
I
up
think
and
going
down
into
There I met
into
two
4,
guys who
it
became
was
my
I was
lifelong
wondering,
buddies and
like,
trusted
will it
crew.
be? Will she be?
Bentley,
Yeah.
A different
Well,
game.
it's like up to a point,
Ed
like
Murray,
Felix Leiter
part-time
was always a
driver,
different
full-time
actor in
crew.
every James Bond movie.
Together we pledged
Yes.
to track down the Thievius
Up
Five,
until
steal back the Thievius
up until
Raccoonus. I knew I was about to face the
License to
toughest
Kill,
test of
where
my
they
life.
brought back the
On
Felix
this
from
mission, I would either become a
Live and Let
master thief
Die.
like my ancestors before
Okay.
me,
Much
Yeah.
older
or
though.
fail and allow my family name to bite the dust.
It's like he's the same.
Yeah.
Don't worry about
And
it.
then all the Daniel Craig movies have the same
That was
Felix.
a nice piece
Yeah.
of work back there at
Yeah,
police
yeah.
headquarters.
I was just talking about
Come see
kind
me
of
if
watching
you want
some of
to
the
check
older
out
ones.
any
I got
old
the,
movies.
you know, the big Blu-ray box set of quite a few years ago as like a, I want to say a Christmas gift. And I haven't chipped away at all of them, but we started at the beginning and started going through the Sean Connery stuff I missed and that sort of those phases. So, but I would like to go back and continue that journey.
Yeah, I mean,
Didn't they recently announce, or was it just rumors for the next Bond? I thought that was a thing.
I don't think it's been announced yet, but like it's the guy that played Quicksilver in like the X-Men prequels and in like
Okay.
Avengers Age of Ultron, like apparently he's like very strongly rumored to be the next Bond.
Okay. The The toolbox, Henry, is a bunch of wires, cables, batteries, all sorts of stuff like that, camera gear. It was my dad's old toolbox, and it just holds all the.
On a whim, he tried his hand
It's a pretty big toolbox. When we were recording the podcast,
Raleigh, who quickly became addicted to crime.
The other day, you got up and grabbed a few things out of that.
I did grab a cable. I did have to grab a cable to charge my watch. So I have an Apple Watch charger in there. Actually, it's still on my desk. I need to put it back. But then behind me, a little bit, is some old cabinets that are currently the shelves for all my games. So before we moved into this house, we were in an apartment.
So this is like setting it up as like an episodic sort of thing, huh?
Yes,
That's
it is.
Fun.
Yeah, it's
But anyway,
totally set up as like different chunks.
Sorry to.
Oh no, you're
interrupt.
good. But all my games, we had our daughter Eloise in the apartment, and so my office/game room became a nursery, and everything went in a closet. I mean, immensely tiny. And so basically since then, about 2 years ago, everything was in totes, roughly, and as we moved and digging things out. So I finally figured out a shelving way to make everything at least accessible, was the idea there. So there's a bunch of PS4 stuff like behind it, so you can't see everything, but it was, they're all up there somewhere. The Rock Band drums are off to the side, somewhere in here. Eloise likes to come in here and bang on them. You know, we'll get there.
Yeah, sure. And like that ladder there?
That is correct. But do not
I remember, so when I got a PS2, I think 8th grade, I got my own PS2. So the first games I go out to buy are those mascot platformers that I played at all the neighbor kids' house. Sly Cooper, Jak and Daxter, Ratchet and Clank. And the copy of Sly that I got stuttered at the opening cutscene of this first world. The game played flawlessly everywhere else. It was just the one cutscene. And I remember trading it to GameStop and buying Sly Cooper like at the same moment. And so clearly
And they didn't.
the clerk is like, "Why are you doing this?" And I'm like, "Oh, the game plays just fine. It just stutters at one cutscene." And they let me do it. But in my infinite wisdom, I just traded it and bought the same game.
And they were just
Not
like,
even
whatever.
thinking
Yeah.
this would be suspicious. I'm like, this makes sense.
You know, it's what you wanted.
It was what I wanted. I mean, the PS2, those early years of finally having it was really just getting all of the big hits. Sly, Jak, Ratchet, eventually God of War. I think we talked about this on Friday, but yeah, my 17th birthday, first rated M games. It was God of War 2, Chains of Olympus, Ghost of Sparta, and Animal Crossing City Folk. That was what I walked out of GameStop with that day. I was like, I can buy rated M games now. I'm an adult. Plus, I need this Animal Crossing game.
I don't know if you keep secret what your podcast subjects are until they release. I don't know if you wanted to say what we recorded on Friday.
Friday, I invited Tri. We talked about the Nintendo Direct for, I think, about 3.5 hours.
Yeah, it was something like that.
It was a blast. I'm going to start editing it tomorrow. I was so excited. You were the first person I thought of. Before I was waiting for the Direct to be announced.
Yeah.
And
you know, everyone thought it was going to probably be like not one of the best. Because,
yeah, like a swan, kind of like a low-key swan song. Like
yeah.
Mario Party will show up. Maybe there'll be a Kirby game again. You know, end of life kind of stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, as we were saying, like, has any system ended like this ever? Like,
I don't know.
Like, certainly Nintendo. Like, the only thing that Nintendo you could say with a Nintendo system maybe would be like Super Nintendo and NES. Super Nintendo had a good, a real good 96, a bad 97, but, you know, after N64 was already out, but Super Nintendo had a good 96. NES, a lot of the best NES games came out for the next several years after the Super Nintendo was already out. But N64 bad last year, GameCube bad last year, Wii bad last year, Wii U bad probably
Bad.
like last
Couple
year
years.
and a half or two. I mean, they just die. And then here they just like drop Mario and Luigi, no one sees coming. Drop Zelda 2/3 before it's even over, that no one sees coming. Drop, the last unlocalized Ace Attorney game like it's nothing. And then with like as good as it was, like there was no way the last thing wasn't going to be Metroid. Because that was the only thing. That was the only thing. Like if you do Zelda like that no one knew was coming well before the end of the show, like the only thing you can top that with is a game that you announced well before you should have and finally can show. Like what a show. I mean we had a good time.
It's a good conversation, and I'm very excited to get it out. Hopefully this week, but I will be chipping away at it in the mornings before work to get that done. And Kebabs is right. I think the PS4 had a pretty good retirement.
Well, yeah, I mean,
but Nintendo for sure. Just like, I don't think any Nintendo console's gone out on this high of a note.
Yeah, I mean the thing about the PS4 having a good retirement or a good last several years is in some ways it felt at the expense of the PS5.
This is true.
So like I don't look at that as, I mean, in the sense that
Is the PS4 retired? No, I guess not.
I mean,
They're
it
still
kind of
making
is.
stuff
I
for
mean,
it.
even Microsoft has mostly retired the Xbox One finally, but I think things
Sure.
like Call of Duty, they're just like too big to not put
Yeah.
on previous.
I mean,
gen
Just Dance
systems.
is on the Switch. How long will
I do want to know how many more
Yeah.
years.
How many more years? When didn't the Wii just get its final one? Not terribly long ago.
I mean, I don't know what year it was, but like the even more. I mean, everyone was impressed by how long the Wii had that. But then, like, I think it's even more impressive that the Wii U held on for like what 2 or 3 years, probably. Like in terms of getting that, like, who was buying this? Like they must have had like their whatever engine they develop it on. I'm sure it's an in-house Ubisoft thing. Like it must just be so perfectly optimized for just like it being just like click a button and you export it to XYZ platform.
It's got to be something
because
good like that.
if it required like more than the most minimal effort, like why would they have kept releasing that on Wii U?
That's a fair point. Google says the last Just Dance game on Wii was 2020, so 4 years ago. But 2020 for the Wii is
The Wii, not the Wii U.
the Wii.
Wow. Wait, so did they do it on the Wii longer than the Wii U?
Oh, this is a good question. To the internet.
Oh shoot! I've just realized I got limited lives. Do I not have a life bar? Because I think I might be dying. And am I dying?
Oh,
in
so
one hit?
Sly Cooper is a one-hit game.
Okay.
Unless you get a lucky horseshoe, and then it's a 2-hit game. And if you get 2 lucky horseshoes, a gold one,
All right.
then you get 3 hits.
So I gotta get my serious face on here.
Kebab says they stopped the Wii U before the Wii releases, so
Wow.
that tells you a lot.
Wow. That's both amazing and depressing.
Chat is saying that the PS4 is not retired, and I suppose that's true. I guess my brain just thinks of it as retired, or it should be retired.
Yeah, but I think first-party stuff is finally starting to.
This is true. Finally, I mean, God of War and Horizon Forbidden West. Horizon not so much because that.
Wait, what did
The
Bentley
word
say
was
about
it was
this?
starting
I
development
wasn't
as
paying that
PS4.
much attention to him.
Yeah.
What do I have to do to open this?
Where are you at? I can't.
Oh,
I'm a little behind you.
Is it the
If it's
bottles?
the key, you just hit it.
Okay, it's
Oh, if it's a safe, yes. So the safe, you collect all, I think,
Yeah.
30 bottles in a level, and then you get the secret code.
yeah. I think it's 20,
So-
or at least it's in this level. it
20.
appears to be
Or it might... Actually, I think it changes per level. And this is something they go on to change in the sequels, where you'll see it when you get through the level, but there's like a hub world that connects you to all the individual levels. And in Sly 2, 3, and 4, the bottles litter that hub world, and so you find them all throughout as you explore it and stuff is kind of the idea.
You can definitely see, I would say, like where Infamous kind of came from with this series as well. You know, just the way
They
that you
definitely have the
kinda
flair for
navigate.
the cinematic. It even Ghost of Tsushima.
Which I've still not played.
If you like petting foxes, it's the game for you.
I mean, I can get burned out on open world games pretty easy, so I don't like to play too many too often.
Yeah.
So that's one I've been putting off, but it looks like a good one.
It is. It's very good. I remember I played it at launch. It launched the same day as Paper Mario Origami King. I remember going to Best Buy and getting them both.
I think Origami King is really, really underrated. It's by far the best one since Thousand Year Door.
I do agree with that. I did. So we played. I have another podcast called Chapter Select, and it's seasonal. And so the first season we did was Paper Mario, and we played through all the Paper Mario games. And so I finally played Origami King, and I totally agree with that. It is the best one they've done since.
The music is so good, so good.
So good. I just kind of wonder why, like, you fight a stapler. Like, there's just some of the things that I'm like, why'd we do this? We could have had a cool character. But they got close with having some of those partner elements come back. I remember the bomb in that beautiful autumn level. He had real personality. He just looked like a bomb. If he just looked like a bomb that was unique, we would have been really close.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of appreciate the fact that he was just a bomb, and then like, I mean, I won't spoil anything, but like, there's like, they make you tug at your heartstrings over a bomb that looks like any other. And I almost feel like it has more impact.
They are close. Origami King is great, and it is truly beautiful, and the mechanics are interesting. Battles are, I think, more engaging than Color Splash.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is,
Sticker Star.
I liked the idea behind Sticker Star's like combat, but the reality was, instead of like battles being worth your while, you almost always left battle like worse off than you went into it. So there was like, okay, I'm just gonna avoid every enemy.
Yes, avoid as much as possible. Sticker Star's punching bag. It is. Poor Sticker Star. I remember being so pumped for Sticker Star too, because I had wanted a portable Paper Mario. I thought it was like the 3DS could totally do this. This will be great. It was a monkey paw situation. Paper Mario on the 3DS. Curl of the finger.
Yeah, that was a disappointment. I did, however, play Color Splash. Like, after I played Origami King, I was like, well, you know what? I should just, like, play Color Splash and finally, be caught up, And so, it was definitely better than Sticker Star. At least had the Koopalines.
Yeah, I love the look of... I guess I really like the look of a lot of the Paper Mario games, but I think Color Splash looks great on the Wii U.
Absolutely, yeah.
The paint mechanics... what was the paint bucket's name?
Oh, I don't remember it if
Huey.
I heard it.
Huey.
Yes! Yes, that is a great name, I have to say.
Oh, yeah. He's awesome. Great character. And what a game. Just so close yet so far. One of those.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's such a strange thing that they just stuck with the exact same gameplay, more polished and better, but yeah, what a strange decision. But I wonder. I mean, Corey's been saying this. maybe maybe after if Thousand Year Door remake does well, they'll like be like, oh,
that's what I'm hoping.
Maybe people want to just be an RPG again.
That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping this game sells super well.
Yeah. I mean, I
did my part. I went out on day one.
Yeah, I did too. I haven't played it yet though. But I was like, I need to get this. I need to support it. But I do think Origami King's combat was very innovative. And the fact that you didn't really need a lot of money for a lot else kind of meant that the money was you were very much encouraged to use the sort of help system.
Spend it
in battle, and for when the puzzles actually got quite difficult.
Raleigh appears to have boobied this entire place.
I'm gonna enjoy
So that was. I thought that was an interesting mechanic where I didn't feel bad about using the combat hit system.
What if I jumped into that?
Yeah, it really.
I don't know. It looks pretty risky.
It made sometimes I feel like in an RPG game you get precious with your currency, your money, because you want to buy the better item at a shop, or maybe you need it later. It's kind of that usable item, like limited access to it, and sometimes then you never spend it by the end. But Origami King does a good job of just like spend your money. We will give you enough, and you can use it in the battle to solve this puzzle. It was cool. I think my bigger beef with the battle system was just the appearance of the enemies. I just didn't like the origami-looking Goombas and stuff. They seemed scary.
I thought those were neat. I loved the paper. What were they? Paper macho.
I mean,
there's like that first reveal of like the first like when he's like chewing on the house in town, and he like you just see him chowing down on, and then he just like does this like slow turnaround, and there's just like confetti like all around
all over his mouth,
snarling mouth like blood. It's kind of great.
They were goofy with that. I don't know. Some of them just seemed a little unsettling to me. But maybe I just wanted more Goombas. Regular Goombas.
I guess
we did have a super chat from For the Love of the Game, $2.
Thank you.
Sony won the platformer crown hard with PS2. Yeah, there was a lot of good platformers on the PS2.
I mean, I was always like really slow to get into Sony platforming series, and that's why I'm so behind, right? I was so slow getting into it because I was like, well, I play these games on Nintendo systems. Like, I'm really here for RPGs or the occasional other action game. But I would say that I would say like my favorite of their early platformers was definitely Ape Escape, which I fell in love with only a few years ago. And I think the thing that's most remarkable about that game is because it uses the DualShock in a way that like no other games do. Like eventually they were just like, oh yeah, right stick is camera and nothing else. But people hadn't really figured that out yet. So like most games on PS1 like don't even do anything with the right stick. Like they're just like, what do you do with this thing? I don't know.
Ooh,
it's there.
There's a stick.
Yeah, like whatever. What do you do with that? But then Ape Escape, they're actually like trying to make it a showcase for it. So they're like coming up with all these like really wild gameplay things to do with it, and then it just kind of got homogenized into, oh yeah, right stick is camera. So like Ape Escape still feels like this like wildly inventive game all these years later, because nothing else plays like it. So yeah, I really fell in love with that. I would put. I mean, who knows where Sly Cooper will be as I go on with this game and hopefully the series. I would say that probably Ape Escape and Ratchet and Clank Ride. Although I think of Ratchet and Clank more as shooters than platformers.
Yeah, I think of it like that. I always think of the weapon design with Ratchet first. Is where I come.
So do I need to like go back and get the barrel? Am I making a mistake like not carrying that forward?
I do believe you need to carry the barrel through this level.
Yeah.
As much as possible, both for the darts and for hiding from the flashlight guys.
Yeah, I was thinking like, oh, this is going to be a short-term little gimmick, but I guess
I think it's the gimmick of the level. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of need it. That's why there's furnaces blowing fire, because they want to make it challenging to get through since you can't jump on it, because jumping makes you jump out of it.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
How are you feeling about the new Astrobot game? Speaking of PlayStation platformers.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I mean Astrobot is that he is PlayStation's like one savior right now. I kind of feel.
It feels a little like that.
In terms of just having something just good old fashioned fun in the library,
Mm-hmm.
And oh my gosh, yes, so excited about Astrobot. I mean, I first got into it with Astrobot Rescue Mission, and I think there's so much discourse online about like, oh well, this will be a great game if it's like $30.
No,
and
it's worth every penny.
Yes, and people, I think because like people, sure, most PS4 owners don't have a PSVR. A lot of people just aren't interested in VR, or think they're not interested in VR because they haven't tried it really, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or they haven't tried the right game. And Astrobot Rescue Mission is the best VR game ever made. I mean, I say that I've only played like an hour of Half-Life Alyx, but it's
okay.
It's maybe it's in the top 2 at least. Like, I mean, not that I've played that many VR games overall, but my point is, it's really good. Like it feels like something fresh in a way that almost hasn't existed since. Well, I mean, I mentioned like Ape Escape feels very fresh because of how it uses the DualShock. It very much has that spirit of invention, like Mario 64 and Ape Escape, where it's like, okay, like this is a new perspective, like how, and it's more of a new perspective than you think if you haven't played it or if you're being dismissive of it.
It's not too dissimilar from Humanity, right? Like, it's not core to the platforming or puzzle solving in that case, but it is a unique perspective that actually does change the feel of the game.
Yeah, well, I would actually argue that in the case of Astrobot Rescue Mission, it is core to the gameplay, because how you discover things, because you have the freest camera that you could have in a platformer, which is you.
Yeah.
You're the free camera, right? So
you're
like,
Lakitu.
You are Lakitu. And
you're the right analog stick.
You discover things hidden in clever ways that wouldn't work in a traditional game on, a normal screen, because you kind of like lean this way and turn this way and look under this thing, and you reveal things by moving your head in a way that is different from a traditional camera. And that's why, like the game director said something along the lines of, there's no VR mode in this because it would have to be designed from the ground up for VR. And I think that makes sense. I'm really glad to see Astrobot get, a true full-on game that anyone with a PS5 can play. And I think people just think about how lightweight, clever, but lightweight the previous game was. And I think they just don't understand. Like this is going to be as worthwhile as any 3D Mario game. Like those Astrobot games, like they have the spark of fun and imagination that Mario games have. They really do.
Enjoy. Like there is just like look at Astro's its Playroom, right? The one that's on every PS5. There are just moments that just bring a big fat smile to your face when you recognize a character from an old game that you haven't thought of in years.
Yeah.
And then you see they're just dancing around.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe you get to sing a song.
Oh, and the
you
music,
feel the sand and the controller.
Music, so good. But yeah, and also just
If I can get the wheel to spin faster.
the things you do in the game are just surprising and fun a lot of the time. So I think people will be surprised. That game is absolutely going. It's it's not a $70 game. It's a it's a $60 game.
$60 game.
I think that's a very fair price.
I agree. I'm excited
I
too.
am fully convinced it's going to be fantastic.
I will not, though, be picking it up on day one because the September gaming budget got turned upside down by Nintendo Direct. And I'm sorry, I got to get Zelda before. Got to get Zelda before I get Astrobot.
That's kind of scary. I actually haven't looked at how close the dates are. What are the dates on those?
So Zelda is the end of the month. I know that. But I think Astro was the front. But Ace Attorney is now the front of the month.
Oh. Well,
So
I've
it's-
waited so many years to play that one. I can hold off a little bit on that one.
Sure. It is. So Astrobot is out. You would think the PlayStation page would just tell you the date. I guess not.
I did already order it at Best Buy.
Well, goodness gracious, you would think this would be an easier. Oh, it's September 6th. It's the same day as Ace Attorney.
Wow, okay.
And I feel more. Thank you, Vincent. I feel more responsible for telling Capcom, like, please, more Ace Attorney. Thank you for doing this finally. I don't know. And $40 plus the Zelda $60, that makes my monthly budget a little bit easier to handle there. So Astrobot will jump onto the Christmas list.
Oh man, that would be a good Christmas Day game, I bet.
Yeah, that should feel good. There was another super chat from Skelvin Knight for $5.
Thank you.
Sunday Night Ritual. This week I'm playing Skyward Sword HD while watching this wonderful stream. Keep on rocking, my dudes.
It's still
Skyward
something
Sword.
I need to play through. I mean, I played through the Wii one.
Right.
I have my issues with the game, but I still want to play through it again.
I'm a Skyward Sword defender. I have been for a long time.
Yeah.
But I do see the problems. I get it.
But
But without Skyward Sword, we would not get Breath of the Wild.
no, that's
all I'm
very
saying.
true. Yeah. Well, I mean,
It paved the way.
my problems with Skyward Sword have nothing to do with the controls. It's just it's the very rigid level design and how you have to like revisit the main areas on the surface like so many times, and they're they switch it up, but that was what bothered me about it. Like it was really the same situation with yikes, this is scary. It was a similar situation with the DS Zelda games. I actually thought, they really went all out with like the touch controls for that, and like which most people would think like, oh, that's very inadvisable. Don't do that. You shouldn't. No one wants touch controls for Zelda. And sure, no one wanted touch controls for Zelda, but they gave them to us, and you know what? They did it right. They did good. I actually think that the ways that the things that they came up with for using the various items and all that, it was very clever, and it felt good. But it's just that the game that was built around you know, this very good DS Zelda engine I just thought weren't that interesting.
I've played Phantom Hourglass. That game was very special to me early on. So there was. This is a very funny story. At least I think so. My grandmother, she kind of introduced me to video games early on, and so Sly Cooper I rented, played at her house. But she had a Game Boy, like I think most people did, and had Tetris and all this stuff. But she had Super Mario Land 2, which was my first Mario game, and she had Link's Awakening, which was my first Zelda game. Nice. But then I was stuck in the game at some point early on. I was probably a little earlier, probably before I could play Link's Awakening and fully comprehend it. And you find the witch early on, you know, she'll give you a potion or what have you. And I think I asked for help, and my mother saw that there was a witch in the game and was staunchly like, nope, can't play this game anymore. And so I was not allowed to play Zelda then from whatever age going forward. And so around 12, 13 years old, I kind of pitched and made a case for why I could play Zelda games now. And also with that was Pokemon. I was not allowed to play Pokemon also. That's a different story. But the pitch was a success. I was 13. They realized, you know, how kind of silly that thinking was at the time. My mom was just overreacting. We laugh about it now. It's, I think, again, great story. So my first Zelda game kind of back was Phantom Hourglass because I had a DS, and we lived at the time on St. John in the Virgin Islands. This is like right around Phantom Hourglass. Obviously, Brawl was getting ready to come out.
Right. So a portable system was what you needed.
Exactly. And getting access to games was much more difficult. There was no mom and pop retro game store on the island. It was, you had to hop on a ferry to another island to get to kind of like the big outlet-ish mall and hope the game you wanted was there, new, and pay the markup because it was being imported. But Phantom Hourglass, I remember getting it and just like reading the manual and flipping the box over on the ferry ride back and just sinking my teeth into that game. And so I love it. But in hindsight, I realize, you know, like that, I forget the name of the dungeon, but the one of the whale lord or whatever it's called is the Ocean King, King.
And
you know, those issues there, and I haven't played it since. So
yeah, and have you played Spirit Tracks? I mean, it does a similar thing where there's a dungeon you revisit over the course of the game, which I don't necessarily mind in theory, but like I don't recall that necessarily having anything to do with why I just didn't totally love the game. Like I think it just was. I don't know.
It's been so long since I've played it, and it was my reintroduction back to the series.
Yeah.
So there's definitely like thick rose-tinted glasses on for Phantom Hourglass. I played Spirit Tracks. I borrowed it from what would just be an ex-girlfriend at the time, but I stopped playing it because I couldn't. For some reason, I could not do the pan flute thing to progress to the next, because you had to blow into the flute to open the next chunk of the map or something, and I could not do it. It would not let me progress. And so I quit. I was like, I'm done with this game. I've since picked it up because, of course, it's one of the more expensive ones. And you gotta have the set. Gotta have the collection.
I see that there's a super chat for the love of the game. Thank you, saying, dig a try, use the cane for coins and bottles. What? Am I missing some mechanic? Can I throw the cane or something? Like,
I think earlier they said, I believe it was the same person, talking about just how satisfying it is to swing the cane to pick up coins.
Oh, so very much like
hit bottles,
like getting rupees.
It's just more a feel thing.
Rupees in Zelda, like, you know, you can get them like if the rupee like falls like in the wall or something, you can use your sword to like get it.
For the love of games elaborates, the cane is an area of effect for pickup, so it gives you that extended reach.
Right. I mean, but in general, I feel like most things are accessible enough that doesn't really matter.
No, it's just a feel thing.
I get it.
And how much you want to mash the attack button.
I get what you're saying.
Pick up what you're throwing down. Apparently, Spirit Tracks didn't have the backtracking that was in Hourglass. I cannot speak to that, but I could see that. I do like the music in Spirit Tracks.
Actually,
particularly
the Kate helped me get that. Oh, the overworld theme in Spirit Tracks is incredible. That's the best part of the whole game.
There's one song, I forget who. I know it features Insane in the Rain music. He comes in with his little train flute, which is awesome. Full Steam Ahead by a musician Curly in Game Chops, but Insane in the Rain music is in it. It's called Full Steam Ahead. That's a very good song.
So I do like this structure, how there's like, these like sub-levels and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
That is actually pretty neat. I honestly, like, it does make it feel like more of a platformer. I didn't really quite know to expect that.
Yeah, and as you're playing it, I'm starting again to think I remember this furnace level you're in, or you're getting ready to leave, or you're out of by now. But the safe was at the start of the level, and I think bottle pickups carry over. So like when you revisit a level, what you collected stays, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly. So you would just run, and then you could finish it up.
Well, what kind of things am I missing with those safes?
I think they're extra pages of the Thievius Raccoonus, and so eventually you get like extra moves or abilities. I think like turning invisible is one. And I think that's right. Maybe someone in chat can confirm or deny.
So is do the bottles the bottles seem to be per
level
area? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're per level. And Kebabs confirms they contain bonus moves like slowing down time or a dive attack. They're it's optional moveset stuff. And so they give you that little collect-a-thon-y bit per level and make you explore stuff. And then the other ways they entice you to replay levels, I think there is a time attack, like finish it within a certain time.
Yeah, I saw an icon that looked like that.
And I think there was a third one, but I don't remember what it would have been.
Yeah,
it's been a long time.
I do like the setup of this though. How it's like there's kind of like there's like multiple larger hubs, I guess, because they set up this whole one like it was like an episode. So, and then there's like these smaller levels within, and they're actually like they're pretty bite-sized and not like overwhelming. I actually think this is a really good setup and structure. I don't know if the later games are similar in any way, or if they're more like, whoa.
Two is similar. You're setting up, like I said earlier, you're setting up those heists, building, and so they narratively all weave together. So instead of collecting a key in every level that unlocks a padlock, like the goal is to get a certain item from the boss that they stole,
Yeah.
And so you like kind of Ocean's 11 style prep a heist, and then you pull it off. So they lean into that.
Yeah, I am quite sure I played some of this back in the day, but none of this is ringing a bell. So I feel like I just like was for some reason being very cynical about it and just like didn't give it the chance it deserved. Because I'm definitely feeling it.
It is. I mean, if you end up enjoying, this and finishing it, you have 3 more games that I think are pretty great. So
yeah.
You have quite the slate ahead of you.
I almost bought the second one several times at the Midwest Gaming Classic. But I think it was either like it was just because whenever I go to a convention, I bring like a set amount of cash.
That's a smart idea.
Let me tell you, Coury is like so like anti-cash. I think like he just like can't deal with it anymore at this point in his life. And
I think cash is a safe option there.
Yeah, and so like
at a convention setting,
he went a little overboard. I think this past convention, he was feeling it. But like I remember like when we went to Japan, in Japan, like a lot of places don't accept cards. Like it's cash only.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I
would have thought the other way around. I would have just thought everything would have been
Japan would be more
card situation.
I think America in a lot of ways is like more at the forefront of like, people just kind of letting go of cash and mostly doing cards. And, I don't deal with cash too often,
Same.
when I'm at home, but
I do the same thing, Try. I went on a trip to visit my buddy in Nashville, and we had a day planned where he was going to take me everywhere, to all the retro shops, all the pawn shops, everything, and we were going to go shopping. We ended up in Kentucky. We went everywhere all day. And I had cash with me for this whole trip because A, I had it, and B, I knew it would limit me from overspending or picking up something I didn't need to grab. Definitely saves you money. Keeps you in limit.
We had a budget for the trip to Japan. It was a business trip.
Absolutely.
So, but that said, we were encountering this again. Ouch. Again and again. That a lot of places they don't accept cards. And Coury just almost even though it kept happening, he almost didn't believe it. We're going somewhere. I'm like, I think we're going to get more cash, and he's like, no, I'm sure they'll take cards. And, it just keeps happening.
Denial.
Cash is just I think such a far distant part of Coury's life at this point. It's so I was always the one dealing with the cash in Japan because he didn't want to carry it. And what I did get sick of though was they've got these very small denominations of coin. It's just like a 1 yen coin or a 5 yen coin or something. And you can't use those at the ticket booth at the train station, and you can't use them in vending machines. So
you can't use a coin in a vending machine?
Well, no, it has to be like a 25 yen or
it has to
50
be a
yen coin or something.
Of it.
Yeah, it can't the vending machines just don't take those really small ones. So it's
I guess that's true here. You can't put a penny in a vending machine here.
I guess that's true, but it's I'm also not using vending machines very often in the U.S., whereas they're a big thing in Japan, right? So you get your train tickets at these ticket booths and stuff where you put in the money and stuff. So we used coins a lot that way, but I had all these that were just almost useless, and sure, I could if I wanted to be like my mom and be like, okay, let me see if I can give you exact change, at a restaurant or the convenience store or something. But I just especially when you're dealing with a language barrier and stuff, I just don't want to take that that kind of time. So I had I was accumulating these very worthless coins that were almost not worth anything. So when we left the first hotel to go to the second hotel, which was I think we stayed at the same place 2 days, so it was most of the way through our trip. I just left them in the room. You're not supposed to give a tip in Japan. It confuses people. But I was just I do not want these coins anymore. I'm just leaving them in the room.
It's leaving a quarter in your laundry.
I hope it won't make the cleaning lady too uncomfortable or something.
Not bad. That's pretty funny.
But yeah, I mean, I when I was in Germany earlier this year, it's not to the same extent, but a somewhat similar situation. A lot of places won't take cards, or they won't take international cards. But I didn't really run into that until the last day.
Really?
Yeah. So I kind of had to I had to be spotted some money and pay back when I got back home.
Oh my goodness. What was the shopping scene like over
in Germany?
Over in Germany, yeah.
It was pretty cool. There weren't a lot like super close to John's house.
Okay.
But there was some a little further out. We went to the first weekend I was there. We went to what's called a Retrode, which is like would like translate to like exchange, like a game exchange, where it's like it's like a miniature convention essentially. And that was awesome. Like I literally at that first one like got most of the game, like basically all of the games that was like on my mind. Like I wanted to get several Master System games. I wanted to get like Ridge Racer 2 on PSP. I wanted to get the PS3 physical of Wipeout HD. You know, things like that were exclusive to Europe. You know, a lot of those like late Master System games that were like made by Sega in Japan, but were, you know, only sold in, you know, like Europe and maybe Brazil. You know, there's a lot of really good stuff. There's like 90s Master System games that were, you know, America was done with the Master System.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was, that was really cool, the little retro Burza. And we went to Munich for a couple of days. And we checked out a couple of, we looked up to see if we could find any stores. And we went to one that was like cigarettes and video games. And that was like, this is what you sell. That's like all the store was like cigarettes, like vape cartridges or whatever, and video games. That's, you know, it's what it is. And it was,
you knew what you were walking into.
It was terrible. There was nothing good there.
Cheesemeister's right though. Cigarettes and video games do not go well together. My Legend of Zelda collection on GameCube that I bought from off eBay can attest to that.
Yeah, it makes me think of back in the day. Friend of mine, he always got like his video game guides at a store that was just called Books and Tobacco.
Oh gosh,
that's what it was called. I'm like thinking back on it, like I'm pretty sure his parents didn't smoke, so I don't know why they frequented Books and Tobacco. Maybe their books were really good. I don't know. I never went there.
Maybe the prices were so
maybe
good.
the prices were good. I don't know.
Tobacco.
Like I never went there. Like I saw the store, but he was like always saying like, oh, you know, I got the Super Mario 64 guide at Books and Tobacco. I got the Final Fantasy 7 guide at Books and Tobacco. Like, he was always going to Books and Tobacco.
Books and Tobacco.
But yeah, we went to another store in Munich. I mean, I couldn't tell you what it was called. It was not called Cigarettes and Video Games. The store was, it might have been called Cigarettes and Video Games in German. I don't know what it was called, but it was definitely Cigarettes and Video Games is what they sold. But anyway, the other store we went in, and it seemed to just be like a manga store, and they were like all like German translated manga, and we're like,
okay.
Oh, we thought this was they had video games, but I guess they don't. And so like the guy like was like clearly very very attuned to our kind, and was like hey, if you go outside and then through the archway, the video game store is like another entrance in the back. And we're like, oh, like he like says this in English, like he could like plainly tell we're like Americans who who are only here for video games, didn't see video games, so we're like leaving in 2 minutes. And so that store was like that store was actually pretty awesome. Got several things there, including some Japanese games. But hey, if I see something I want, it doesn't matter that it's, you know, I'm mostly looking for European games, sure, because that's like what I, you know, wouldn't normally come across, right? But whoopsie. But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna say no to Ridge Racer Revolution Japanese copy if, you know, it's there and it's the right price. I also got one of the Konami collections that has like the colorization only in Europe.
Okay.
I got it for like half price, and John got the second Taito, or is it the only Taito Simpsons? Not Simpsons. Flintstones. Flintstones are not the Simpsons. I'm trying to remember if it was the first. If there was like, is there? I think there is an. Or maybe I'm confusing it with the Genesis one. I don't know. Anyway, there's a Flintstones game on Super Nintendo. He found the Super Famicom copy. Again, like half the going price. Really good deal. And we went back and we played through the whole thing. It's kind of like a board game, but with like platforming level. It's like what if Mario Party like had platforming levels instead of mini games, and it was like actually kind of awesome.
Okay.
we got really hooked on it and played the whole thing.
Nice.
Yeah, we had a good time with the shopping and everything. Oh my gosh! Well, on the last day I was there, like he'd been hopping up this place for years, called Kuselmuschel.
Okay.
And
that's a name.
Yeah, and so like he keeps telling me like this place is in the middle of nowhere. It's just this video game store, like literally just in the middle of nowhere, and like they say that everyone has the same reaction to. When they say this, like they don't fully believe them when they say that's in the middle of nowhere. Like, you know, like Audie has been talking about this place too, and you know, like no one like fully believes them.
Is it in the middle of nowhere?
It is like I am talking like you are walking down cobblestone streets where everyone has chickens in the front yard. And there are 2 video game stores here, okay?
What?
And
2?
One is like closed with a sign that says reopening in a month. This apparently said that for years. And they're like 2 brothers that had like a falling out or something. So like one of them just opened Kuselmuschel Reloaded like down the street. So the other one, like it's just not open for some reason. So we went to, you know, Kuselmuschel Reloaded, and it's just like I was like, I will never again question Resident Evil when like these like creepy middle of nowhere towns like just have like a merchant selling stuff that a merchant you wouldn't expect a merchant in a small tiny town to be selling. Well,
right.
Resident Evil 4 and 8 sure make a lot of sense now.
They're a thing.
This is the thing. There's just some like, I mean, this is not that far removed from you know Resident Evil 4 Village, you know, except there's a video game store. So chickens and stuff. It's not like dirt ground. It's at least cobblestone, but like it's
cobblestone and chickens.
Cobblestone and chickens, man. Like this, it's crazy.
Oh my goodness. I the other night we were playing with Eloise before bed, and I grabbed the big brown blanket and I kind of like draped it over my head and shoulders, and opened it up and did the, what are you buying? And Eloise thought that was hilarious, and she would hide in the blanket, and then she'd pop out as if I was selling this infant child. What are you buying? And we did that for like 30 minutes. She would just think popping in and out was the funniest thing in the world. So I just was the Resident Evil 4, the salesman for 30 minutes. It was very fun.
Wow. I see we got $5 super chat from good old EB Chill too. Thank you, saying this super chat can be used toward a pre-order purchase of Donkey Kong Country Returns HD remake. I'm assuming you're probably aware of how I feel about Donkey Kong Country Returns, EB Chill.
Based off our conversation,
this
would not be a good purchase for you.
I make no secret about how I feel about that. Well, it's really stupid because I did buy the 3DS version just because, like, I do a YouTube show and I feel like I need to be able to show off things
and you do
like
have a
that.
modded 3DS, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, oh, I see. So keys, like I used 3 keys to open that gate, but I get to keep the keys, so I'm just accumulating more and more keys.
More keys. Yep.
Okay. See, I really think this game's kind of got a cool.
It does, and I think if I remember correctly, the level count, there are more levels than there are needed keys to get to the final boss. So if you struggle with a level or don't want to, I may be wrong on this. Again.
Well, I noticed that there were 4 levels in that previous little area, but there were only 3 keys needed to get through the door. But however, I'm going to need something like 7 keys up here. So
yeah,
it behooved me to get that 4th key for sure.
Correct. So I'm in Central Florida, and there's quite a few retro games shops around me. But I believe, at least Coury, I think, has dealt with one of the owners of one, which is a little far away from me. It's south of Disney. But Cyber Sage, do you know that one? I forget the owner's name.
I don't know. I mean, Coury's got family, like, I think, like,
all over?
Like Western Central Florida.
Okay, yeah.
So, I can't.
Maybe the connection there is with Coury then.
Yeah, I can't recall if he's shopped around there. I know. Henry Clark is in Florida. I don't know if you all are in the same
I go
area.
to Cybertron. I'm not far from both of them, and then I go to Gamers Inc. there over in Waterford, but also Royal Empire Gaming. Oh,
dang,
no.
The owner just died? That's wow.
Oh, that's so sad. I used to go there all the time in high school and college. It was a lot closer to me. That is sad. I'm so sorry. But I've been there. I've been to both Cybertrons. Royal Empire Gaming has been kind of my mainstay. His prices have gone up quite a bit, which is it's a bit hard. Well, Henry, you and I are surprisingly close based off our shopping habits. His prices are Yeah, I haven't been retro shopping in a hot minute. Again, that budget. I also looked at everything that I bought last year. I kept track of, what I bought in the year. And it was like 70-something games bought or gifted to, and I played a pittance of those. So I think I need to adjust my spending habits for the year for my retro video games. But the collecting did get a bit out of hand last year, mostly because we played through the mainline Resident Evil games and the mainline Pokemon games for Chapter Select, and I had never played Resident Evil besides, I think, 7 and Village.
Oh, wow.
And so that required a lot of purchasing, all on the PS4.
Most of them are cheap.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, thankfully. I did get a couple of the game. I got Resident Evil 1 and 0 on the GameCube. And then I think everything else, including them through the Origins collection, but I have all of the Resident Evil games on PS4, so that feels pretty good.
Yeah.
To finally have those, and oh my gosh, they're amazing.
Yeah.
It makes sense why people talk about those games.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, so I was happy to do that. And then Pokemon, which was the real expensive one, because
Oh yeah, I mean those games hold their value, even though there's like got to be a bazillion of them out there. Like
exactly,
they just hold their value.
Yeah, it was. I think I only got one complete in box. I got Black 2. I was able to get for a pretty decent price.
That is. I've skipped a couple of generations, and I think Black and White is like considered one of the best generations, but like I skipped it at the time because I was just like, well, I was just kind of burned out on Pokemon at the time, and Black and White came out after the 3DS was already out, and I was like,
they were close, yeah.
I was like, I'm disappointed it's not for 3DS, like, and I'm kind of burnt out on Pokemon anyway, so like, it just didn't seem that exciting to me to get another Pokemon on DS, and I was like, I'll wait for like the first like fully 3DS one to like do the next one. Like I keep skipping the generations that I think tend to be like the fan favorites
yes.
on accident, and then like because like I didn't play like Gen 2 back in the day. I got.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that would be the one to. That's not the one to skip.
I know, but like I was just like, I felt like I liked Pokemon Red and Blue, but I felt really burned out. I felt really burned by Pokemon Snap, which is a beloved game, but like it's just like so little content, right? Like I finished it so fast, and you know, it didn't look like there was much to Pokemon Stadium, and I kind of just felt like I just kind of felt like, man, this stuff is like really feeling like a cash grab. You know, I'm just kind of done with it. And then like me and my friend were looking at Nintendo Power and seeing like what some of the new Pokemon for Silver and Gold were going to be, and we were just like in a uncontrollable giggle fit for like 10 minutes over Igglybuff and Pineco.
Yep.
And I'm just like, we're not buying this crap. And so yeah, like even though that's like a fan, like a big fan favorite, like I skipped that one. I skipped Black and White because like I skipped Gen 3 as well, which is like not as much of a fan favorite, I don't think.
Well, it depends. I guess it depends if you're talking about Emerald or not, but yeah.
Yeah, well, and also like, you know, every generation has its diehard fans depending on what age you were when it came out, right?
Correct.
So
what was your first one, basically?
Yeah. And so the funny thing is, you know, I skipped that too because I was just like, I was still like just feeling very done with Pokemon. But then like I started like feeling left out on the hype of Diamond and Pearl, which I think Gen 4. Oh wow, I actually got all the bottles in a level. Holy crap!
You did.
Holy crap!
I think the safe is ahead of you though, so I think you're fine. I think it's right above you.
Wow, I can't believe like I've somehow not gotten all of them up to this point.
Yeah, some of them are a little tucked away. Yeah, there's the safe.
Oh what's the code?
He'll tell you.
719. Okay.
We'll see what page.
Man, the game slows down so hard when the codec is on screen.
Too much power.
Nice.
Sly, you found a page from the Thievius Raccoonus.
What do we got here?
Teaches old Drake Cooper's fast attack dive move.
Fast attack dive.
Attack dive.
Press triangle. Okay. Oh, I get it. Okay, that's cool. Anyway, yeah. So like I I got Pokemon Diamond, and
that was my first Pokemon game back.
Well,
I was allowed to play with Pokemon and
Okay.
Zelda. So it was like that year. That was a big Pokemon year for me too. I got Diamond, Ranger, and Mystery Dungeon. Like I got the the whole set.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah. So for me, like that was like my big return, and I'm just like, oh yeah, this is great. And then I like went overboard because like I'm like, okay, I feel like I'm a Pokemon fan again, and so I got Emerald. I got because like old Pokemon games weren't stupid expensive yet back then.
Yeah,
right?
no, that would have been the time.
I got Emerald. I got Fire Red, and Soul Silver or Heart Gold. I don't remember which one I have. So Soul Silver or Heart Gold. So like I went really overboard, and
you jumped in.
Yeah. So then by the time Black and White was coming out, I was like,
Tapped out again.
I was like, especially because, like I said, like the 3DS, I think had just come out, or it was either about to come out. I think
it was very close.
I think it was already out, and I got 3DS day one, so I was just like, But then it ended up being like one of the most popular ones, and then I come back for X and Y, and that one wasn't that well loved.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So,
but the joke's on everyone now because that new Legends game is all X and Y. I forget what it's called.
Oh,
I guess that's another Switch game, right?
It's Diamond and Pearl, isn't it? The Legends game is
the first Legends game. Yes, Arceus.
Wait, is there another Legends game coming?
Yeah, they announced it. I want to say last year.
Really?
Z-A, Z-A, Pokemon Legends Z-A. Set in Lumio City.
I somehow... Oh, you're right. I remember that. Wow, because
everyone thought they were going to do Black and White next, and they're like, joke's on you. Going to X and Y. And this is a 2025 game. I forgot about that. When we were talking about future Switch games, we talked on the show... Like Donkey Kong had the furthest release date lock with January, but then there was Metroid Prime 2025, and I guess now also Pokemon Z.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. That's just like completely slipped my mind. Like, and I feel like no one. I mean, obviously, I am not a hardcore Pokemon fan, so
yeah,
like I'm not like hanging out in Pokemon circles, but I just feel like no one has like brought that up since that teaser. So I think I like promptly forgot about it within like 2 days, and just like
sure
that has not entered my mind until you just now said it.
Yeah, it was like a Pokemon Direct, and it showed up. This level gave us such a hard time as kids.
Yeah, they're a little slippery. Oh, almost lost one, I think. I don't think
we're close.
I think I got it. This is a fun little mini game, though.
Yeah, each world kind of has a mini game level or two that has.
Oh crap! No! Come back.
Did you play Arceus though? Legends Arceus?
I have it, and I've tried it out, but I've not played through it. It seems quite good though. I think. Oh no! Did I lose it? I don't know if I lost it.
You're good.
I think I'm good. I think I was like within 2 frames of losing it.
You at least got this one on your first try. This was never low slouch. But Legends Arceus was such a... It's like that manifestation of that dream of like truly running around with wild Pokemon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems...
seeing them in the world and stuff. It's cool.
Yeah, I just haven't taken the time for it yet, but I might have played it right away if it wasn't for I was just finishing up Monster Hunter Stories 2, which is like kind of probably a weird game to have prioritized over that. Like, that game was so strange because it was like, for one, that's the only Monster Hunter game I've beaten, of all things, and two, like, it's so heavily flawed. Like, it's got a lot of problems, and yet, like, I felt mostly positive about it at the end. But yeah, I kind of thought like, oh, this is kind of like another monster raising thing. Like, I don't know if I'm up for
Too
that
close.
right now. Yeah.
You don't want to oversaturate yourself.
But I did take a look at it, and I'm like, this seems pretty cool. I mean, I know people were all grumbly about the graphics, but I mean, it seemed. Let me tell you what. Having just finished Monster Hunter Stories 2 at the time, and then taking a peek at that, Monster Hunter Stories 2 like runs so bad, that even with the flaws of Arceus, like it felt like just luxuriously impressive in comparison on a technical level.
I think the gameplay makes up for a lot of it in Arceus, I think. More so than Scarlet and Violet, which looks more like a potato than Arceus.
Yes,
so,
absolutely, yeah.
Arceus did something new
And
for that franchise.
I've not played Diamond and Pearl at all, or not, actually not Diamond and Pearl. Whatever the new Scarlet.
Scarlet and Violet, yeah.
Yeah.
But also the gameplay loop there is fun. I gave it a lot of grace. It's pretty fun. So
I mean, it sounds like it's well designed, just like
it just
super
looks like a
poorly
potato.
made. Yeah.
It's pretty rough in that.
I'll wait and see if they do like a upgrade version of that when Switch 2 comes out. You'd think they would.
Something, hopefully. One would hope. So when he
I thought he was I thought he was making the whole platform fall when he bounced, so that's why I was like not taking my chance to hit him.
There was Stefan asked what you thought of the Horizon Lego game. I saw that somewhere in there. Expectations or something for that?
Well, I talk about that. You should listen to Max's podcast when
you could. I did.
That episode.
We did talk about it on the show.
Yeah, I don't know when you plan to release that, but
hopefully this week. I'm starting the edit tomorrow, so we'll see. But hopefully this week.
I mean, in a nutshell, I think it's interesting. I mean, I haven't, it's not Traveler's Tales like the old ones, so I kind of felt a little tired of those after a point. Like I think the last one I played was like Lego Indiana Jones on the Wii, maybe. But I think like part of why I was feeling tired of them was like, there's not much like challenge to them, and I think at the time like I was, just like, oh, these are kind of very shut off your brain games, and at the time I didn't think that was very interesting, but now I'm kind of like, I'm old enough that it's kind of nice to shut off your brain while you wind down for bed, so I could go for a simple Lego game, and maybe there will be more to it after all, being a different developer. So I thought that was a really strange thing to exist, but I mean, it might be kind of fun. I said this on your podcast, but like, as I was kind of thinking it through while we were talking, I feel like thinking about like the way that Sony has like shut down, all Japan studio except for, Astrobot. Yeah. And that, it seems like Insomniac doesn't get to work on Ratchet and Clank that often because they're, working on Spider-Man or whatever. Like, there's not.
So you know what they're working on.
Raccoonus held detailed instructions on how to perform my ancestor Ryoichi Cooper's ninja-spired.
You know, so they don't have that much like
while sneaking into the
for families properties right now, and you know, Astrobot being so built around that PlayStation history, like probably wouldn't have made a good fit for a multi-platform game that they would want to put on Switch. So if you think about like the only like current thing in Sony's library that, you know, even though Horizon is like a T for teen game, I think.
And then headed back home, excited for our next.
You know, at the end of the day, you're shooting robot dinosaurs. So it makes sense as a thing that kids could, you know, that would be okay for kids, right? Like it could be turned into a kids game. So it's just so weird that that's like the property right now that Sony is actively using that most fits Lego. Like that's kind of sad if you think about it, but at the same time, I mean, it does. It
makes sense.
Yeah, it's. I bet it's gonna be good. I bet it's gonna be quite good.
I hope so. It'll be cool to see the response and the visuals of it and all that jazz. You know, Lego games can look quite beautiful. There's that one that has ray tracing, like you build little islands.
Yes, yes. I think that was that only on PC?
I think it's on PS5 and Series X, I believe.
Maybe it might have only launched on PC. But yeah, that ray tracing one sounds really neat.
Yes, you build little islands or something. I don't know. It just sounds like a pretty Lego game.
It had been a while since
Imagine the Vita and Astrobot being on the Nintendo Switch. That is
notorious mugshot.
Funny Sotenist, which I believe is a Symphony of the Night.
Yep.
That was the big pickup on that trip I took with my buddy. I finally got back Symphony of the Night for complete in box. I'm talking super clean. $100. I felt pretty good about that. I felt pretty good about that, given the price of it around these parts. So, it's funny though. I did get a loose copy of Symphony of the Night a few years ago for like $30 off eBay, but the disc was a little scratched. Like if you put it in a PS3 or something, like you could get the music, but it wouldn't boot the game. But at the time, I didn't know about like disc resurfacing, or hadn't thought about it, or you know, would have taken the $5 risk on it already to do that, and I returned it. I was like, dang it, I probably should have at least tried to get it resurfaced. But you know, that's always hit or miss.
Yeah. You know, I think Symphony of the Night might have been the first disc game I ever bought used. It was either that or Brave Fencer Musashi. Like,
I'm trying to think. What would it have been for me?
Because like
probably a GameCube game. Probably.
I don't remember if I ever bought a used GameCube game like back in its day.
That's because that's all I had as far as a disc-based console.
Right.
It was all Nintendo, all the time as a lad, a wee lad.
Which is surprising because you've done a lot of stuff like some like intensive histories of like Naughty Dog and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like you definitely seem to have taken your Sony turns over the years.
I've definitely hopped on the Sony pony, you know. It was born out of playing those neighbor kids' PS2s across the street. You know, one kid had a PS1, that's where I was introduced to Crash. Sly Cooper, Kingdom Hearts was a kid across the street. I just didn't have, Game Boy Advance and an N64, and then I saved up and got a GameCube. That was a big day. And then a DS, same thing, saved up and got that. I just never had a PlayStation until middle school, where I went in whole hog with, you know, Jak and Daxter, Ratchet and Clank, and all that stuff. And then I didn't get a PS3 until 2011 with it was a Christmas gift, and it was the Uncharted 3 bundle. And I wanted a PS3 so bad, and got that bundle. I remember booting it up, and the start of that game, I mean, are Uncharted 3 spoilers okay?
Sure.
It's been
Sure.
okay, it's been that long. The start of that game, as Nate and Sully pull off a heist in a bar and get in a fight, and it fakes their death. They fake their own death, but it fades away and makes it look like they died. And I remember I played the intro, and that happens, and I went, don't go to like 2 months earlier, like don't do a transition where it's 2 months earlier and we leave off at the death. And then that transition is like 20 years ago where Nate's a teenager.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's where I stopped. And then I borrowed Uncharted 1 from a friend down the street. And we were busy on Christmas Day, but the next day, this is actually how I played most of my early PS3 stuff. I didn't have an HD TV in my room at the time. So I played Uncharted 1 on my CRT in my room all day on the 26th of December. And that was one of the great days. Just all day in the dark playing the game in the new shiny console. And then quickly, went and got Uncharted 2 and then finally played Uncharted 3. But Naughty Dog is my favorite for sure. Favorite developer.
You lucked out because you got to play Uncharted 3 after they fixed the controls.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah.
What was wrong with the controls in Uncharted 3 at launch? What happened?
The aiming. I don't know how to describe it, but the aiming mechanics were very wrong.
Okay.
And it was like this big deal, like people were like really criticizing it, and like a week after launch, like Naughty Dog was like, okay, like any of you who like live in LA, like can you like come by our offices and like show us what's wrong with this?
Oh my gosh, I'll have to look this up. I've never heard this story.
Yeah. Oh, I remember it very clearly.
I'll have to. Write it down.
Yes, this was big news. Like in the weeks following Uncharted 3's release, where they like these like fans came by and they sort of like workshopped it with them because like Uncharted 2's controls were like perfect, and like the aiming just felt so wrong. Like I played through the game, but I was just like, I'm just like not like getting the headshots like I did in Uncharted 2. Like it just didn't feel right, and yeah, so they like did a patch like relatively quickly, but like I got the game day one and I'd already finished it, right? So
right, yeah, that's a
so I've actually like never replayed it. Like Uncharted 3 has always been like a big disappointment to me, and maybe my perception of it would be improved if I had played it after that point. I don't know. I mean, I'll say this, like, I mean, I wouldn't want to spoil the whole game for anyone, but I feel like this is a spoiler that would improve your enjoyment of the game, because this spoiler makes me mad to this day.
All right.
So there's this like whole section in the middle of the game. Probably the coolest set piece from like a technical perspective is the pirate ship, right? Like, the way that it rides on the waves and, they utilize the mechanics of how it moves very well for, the level design. But the only reason for that entire pirate ship section is that, you're going to save Sully. And you get to the end of the section, and they were just fooling you. Sully wasn't there. Sully was fine. Sully was fine. There was no reason for that entire section of the game other than it made a cool level. that drives me nuts to this day. Like there is that entire section moved the plot forward 0. Like if you had to save Sully, okay, but he wasn't there, so there was no reason for it.
That Uncharted 3. So I see some people saying Uncharted 3 not good, but I am a fan, and purely from the perspective of, I mean, these set pieces are just bangers, man. Come on, what's not to love?
I mean,
about
they are
the ships, the plane, and so it's a very action movie. But you're absolutely right that there is a lot of just deception, narrative stuff that doesn't make a ton of sense in Uncharted 3.
Drake's deception.
Where the henchmen appearing and disappearing, that one part of the spiders that apparently make people turn into corpses, like zombified corpses very quickly. There's just strange and unexplained things in Uncharted 3 that it was a very interesting game. I mean, at the time, they were cranking those games out every year and a half, 2 years.
They sure can't do that no more.
They definitely cannot. Gosh. And obviously, The Last of Us was also in development. They were trying that whole 2-studio split at the time for the first time. And Uncharted 3 feels like it was just a rush to a certain degree. Like, we gotta crank this out. And they just went for the big bombastic. And that's fine. And it meets that, serves that purpose. But
yeah, you should definitely do some research about the whole, like,
I have to now. I've written it down.
Yeah, that was a big deal at the time, but I was just disappointed because, like, I mean, you know, I probably finished the game in like 3 or 4 days, right? So
yeah, it's a breeze, man. That game is such a breeze to play through.
I would say it's probably shorter than Uncharted 2, maybe, if I remember.
Possibly, not entirely sure, but possibly.
How do you feel about Golden Abyss?
So see, this is a gaming confession time. I haven't beaten Golden Abyss. I've gotten quarter of the way through. It was the first game I played when I got a Vita, but for some reason I stopped playing it. I don't remember. And then the big thing was like, I would like to play this on my TV, and so the PS TV. But of course,
it's you can't play it, or
it's one of the few games you can't play officially. Now, if you do some homebrew and hack your Vita, you can boot it up and play it, and there is a patch, because there's only one level that requires the touch or motion controls or something. It's sliding down a river or waterfall, and you can patch it where it'll work with the DualShock 4's gyroscope or touchpad or something. Right. So it is fully playable, and I have just yet to do the thing, even now with the Tink 4K, and like I have everything I need. So the next time I play through the series, I will finally, complete it and beat Golden Abyss.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's not a Vita native resolution game, so no. I don't know if I'd be curious to look into how that looks on the Tink 4K and what sharp scale gets you.
Because I haven't even booted it up with the 4K yet. The first game I booted up was Persona 4 Golden.
Oh, okay. Also not a native game, I believe.
No, I think there's a fan patch to push it.
Oh, but yeah.
Games, but I don't think I have that installed. But there's a lot of Vita dev kit love out there. There was a question for me earlier. I'm trying to find it. I remember it. Some gameplay through videos. From Henry. Have any with co-op? No, I haven't. So the gameplay videos, I do them sometimes for Chapter Select and that show and play some stuff. But we haven't. The only co-op we've done is Resident Evil 5 and 6, which I am glad I played co-op. Obviously 5 makes a lot of sense, but it helps 6 a lot too.
Yeah.
Especially the repetition in that game. But no, I haven't done any co-op stuff. But down for some local co-op. Yeah, we should definitely try and get together, play something sometime. That would be fun, Henry.
Yeah, Henry's a good guy. He's kind of like our de facto community manager.
Okay.
Sometimes tech support.
Oh, I think I've seen a stream with Henry.
Yeah,
okay, I'm connecting the dots now.
Yeah, he stopped by in October when he was traveling.
Oh,
traveling by.
okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
He's a good fella.
All right. We just got a super chat from the gaming nostalgist.
Yes, thank you.
$5. I still got to send you my dev kit to make a video with. Try.
Oh yeah, what?
A Vita dev kit, I believe.
Was it a Vita? Yes, you mentioned that a long time ago. I like completely forgot about that.
What
yes, that
does
would
the Vita dev kit provide? I assume HDMI out in some capacity.
Yeah, well, we talked about this at some point, and I just like the existence of that second Pokemon Legends game, it like whoop, went totally out of my head. Yes, we need to connect on that sometime. That would be.
You can send it to Central Florida. Fun. I'll make the video for track. That sounds really cool, though. Like what the. Because that's something. I know, we were talking before the stream went live about Macho Nacho Productions, Tito over there. And he's had a string of videos over the last year or so, maybe last 6 months, with some like GameCube dev kit stuff. And I think that is wildly fascinating. I think dev kit stuff's super cool.
Yeah, especially when there's something to dump off of it, right? Like, that's how we got some really cool stuff, like the original Xbox version of Cameo.
Yeah, I am a Florida man.
That is super wild.
Yeah, all this history just sitting out there on dev kits.
Yep. I mean, you usually hear about it like once or twice a year, like something really cool that's been pulled off of a dev kit.
I've always kind of longed for. So, you and I share a love of getting Game Boy games on the TV, like having that early desire. I got the Game Boy player for the GameCube for my 10th birthday. Still vividly remember that birthday. Both my parents were out of the country on missions trips in different places, and that was the only birthday I ever got everything that I wanted. So I got the Game Boy player, and I've kept it ever since, and it's a great piece of hardware. Obviously, even more so now with all the mods for GameCube and GC Video and GBI, the Game Boy interface. I mean, it's amazing. But that desire for portable games on the TV obviously extends to everything portable. PS TV, like we were talking about, DS games through Wii U emulation, although the entire library is not compatible. Pokemon primarily being troublemakers in that sense. But I've always wanted one of those DS dev kits that had the capture out that they would use for capture and stuff. The big blue box. I forget what they're called specifically, but always wanted one of those.
I won't say where I was, but I visited a game developer some time ago, and they just had tubs full of those DS kits, and I'm like, oh wow, those are actually really really desirable and oh no, I killed Murray. I was like, those are really desirable and sought after because of how you can capture footage over video output. And I was like, they've got so many of them. Obviously, they don't even need them anymore. And I'm just thinking I'm trying to word this in a way of hint.
Can I take one of these home?
Can I just take one of these? Who's gonna care? But they were just oh wow, really? They had no idea.
Yep, it happens. That type of thing happens every now and then. You're like, do you realize what you have? And they're like, no, what? It happens with my in-laws sometimes. They have tons of stuff. They've got They've got 2600, Commodore 64, you know, that types of stuff, and things still in the box with the games and like games in box still.
Okay, I don't want to blow that up at all, even when he's far away from it. I see.
Oh, I didn't know it could be that far away. It could still hit you, but
I'm thinking
avoid the poison barrels.
I'm thinking he's got to get through it, and I'll have to avoid shooting them. Is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, he will walk around them. So. But yeah, I know this was ages ago now, but Woozle was working on a DS video thing, but I think ever since he joined Pixel FX, that project is basically off to the wayside.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see anything for DS that's like more than just a USB solution, right?
Yeah, or just little composite. I know there's a couple cheaper ones that are just like composite video.
Yeah, but I want to see some sort of digital solution, you know?
Yes, yeah. Digital and native would be great. Because the Wii U only gets me so far. I did, though, fall down that rabbit hole of loading in those custom not scan lines, but those custom scaled options that are more accurate to the console.
Through like a hacked system?
Yeah, like on a Wii U.
So you can hack the Wii U and change the scaling parameters on
to
virtual console
within
games?
a certain degree, yeah,
Okay.
that make it more accurate.
Because I've never hacked Wii U.
It's great for those DS games, specifically is what I kind of have hacked it for, because they offer me a way to capture something, right?
Yeah.
Instead of off-screen. That's what I did for the Pokemon games, was off-screen footage, because I couldn't get them emulated to a level of my liking.
Yeah.
So I just had the camera above my desk and would, film me playing Pokemon as long as I needed for the episode. So let's see.
Gaming Nostalgia saying Sayo or Kaio, or I don't know how you would say that. It's working on console for DS as well as PSP. Still all slow going. That would be really interesting for PSP. I mean, I've got a PSP 1000, 2000, 3000 and go, so I could definitely spare one of those for a mod for sure.
Yeah.
The PSP analog video output, I do enjoy it, but it's not the best quality. It's very kind of noisy and a bit dithered looking.
Mm-hmm. I like your guys' PSP episode. I think it's a pretty wide range. I only have a PSP 1000. And
wait, do we have a PSP episode?
Or maybe, what was it?
Or was it the sharp scale video?
No, maybe it was PS1. And
okay, because
you're going through the options of the PSP to play PS1 games. I think that's what it was.
Correct. Yes.
But you go through everything.
Oh, I see what this is. Yes. Because I really wanted to make a PSP episode, but never quite got off the ground with it. I'd still like to. I mean, but like people seem to assume RGB series is dead, and I mean, it's dormant.
I never assume anything's dead until you say so.
It's been dormant, mostly just because we're just so like. We feel like the expectations are just so high. Oh crap! So we get kind of intimidated by it. But the one thing
you guys can do it.
Yeah, we can do it. The one I was in conversation with someone to buy a PSP Street off of them. Are you aware of what that is? I'm not.
Is that the phone?
No, it's a Europe only PSP that's just kind of stripped down. It doesn't have Wi-Fi.
It's like the Wii Mini equivalent.
It's like the Wii Mini, yeah, for PSP. It's sort of a budget option. I forget what else I think it lacks more. Geez, this guy is a monster.
Is there disk drive? No UMD drive, I would assume.
No, I think there is well, it has no Wi-Fi, so.
Oh, true. Never mind. It would have to have a UMD drive.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could load games off of a PS3, but that would be a bit of a stretch to, or I guess you can do it off of a computer too. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it's UMD. But yeah, it's definitely Wii Mini is a very very accurate comparison for sure. So yeah. Anyway, years ago I was in conversation with someone, and like I was just like so busy and just like was so slow to respond, and then like I forgot to respond, and we had a couple of back and forths, and then we just never got through with that. But that, like, I was like, as soon as I get that, I'm going to do a PSP RGB video, and I just forgot.
I would love it. I think a lot of people would too. The PSP, there's so many options I would think to talk about. I would think at least hardware revisions. And then just how do you scale it? And I feel like with the RetroTink 4K, you can finally really easily get PSP looking really good pretty easily. I mean, it's good as the output is of a, it kind of has a ceiling on how good the quality can be. Sure. I feel, but the OSSC, as far as I was ever able to figure out, the OSSC was kind of better than the RetroTink 5X for PSP, because oh crap. Oh, I had that horseshoe. Why is the horseshoe I get? Like it's a lucky horseshoe, I guess.
Yeah. I guess I don't think about horseshoes often enough to remember that there is such a thing as a lucky horseshoe.
I only would think of it in this context.
But anyway, what was the time about? I lost track already. PSP something.
Street making an episode.
PSP something. Yeah.
How you could scale it? You mentioned the OSSC.
Oh yeah. The OSSC. It's like in one of its the base OSSC, and one of I kind of think the last major firmware updates it got this like mode that was good for optimizing PSP. And if you go to Digital Foundry, I did a Let's Play with John with Mega Man X, and I played Maverick Hunter X, and that was captured using the OSSC, the original OSSC with the optimized mode, and it was the first time I'd kind of used it in a while, because I was like, oh yeah, like I can't think of a way that you would get that looking especially good on the RetroTink 5X, and but it still took a little fiddling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think fiddling is in the nature of the OSSC.
Yes, fair enough. Weird, that moves side by side. Okay. So yeah, it so that it was kind of fun to drag that back out. But now, like, the RetroTink 4K is like so, or excuse me, 4K. It's so good for it.
It is confusing. 4K is the newer one.
Yes.
5 is afterward.
Yes. I screw up on that sometimes. But yes, it's I did a PSP stream maybe a month or two ago. It was a lot of fun.
I'm excited to eventually, because one of the seasons we're working on for the show is Castlevania, and I want to at least play a bit of Rondo of Blood, through the Dracula X Chronicle collection.
I actually think the remake is a bit underrated. I think it's better than people say it is.
I'm like so eager to give it a shot, because I've only ever played it on the Wii, the Wii or the PS4 collection,
Mm-hmm.
Basically the TurboGrafx, original version.
Yeah. I mean, I think the big criticism is this 30 frames per second, but
yeah,
for some people, I think this can make a difference, but for me, I feel like on a handheld screen, like I just it doesn't bother me that much. Like 30 FPS is generally a bad idea for a platformer. Like, you should try to get a, I mean, 3D platformer is fine, but for a 2D platformer, you really should try to make it 60 FPS at all costs. But like on a handheld screen, I just like, I don't know, like they move, the frames move such a short distance relative to the size of the screen and relative to your point of view. It doesn't bother me in the same way. Am I going where I came from? I think I'm going.
You're back at the beginning.
I see. Okay. I see why I got confused.
I think you need to jump down from.
I need to go back to those chandeliers. When I saw this path earlier, I thought it was somewhere I hadn't been, so I was like, "Oh, I want to do that before." But anyway, yeah. I don't know. I think that version is interesting and not as bad as people say.
It's definitely one I want to give a fair shake and at least understand, like have that perspective of it in the history of this game that was locked away for so long and is now widely accessible, but so vital to, the most famous Symphony of the Night, or most famous Castlevania game, which is Symphony of the Night.
Oh, there's a bunch of bottles up there.
Oh yeah, there are a bunch up there. I think there's a way to get this thing to spit out a jackpot too.
I couldn't seem to interact with it at all, but it seems like there's got to be something to it.
Maybe you hang from it. You can jump and hit the circle button, I think, and hang from it, but you have to maybe take that guy out to avoid being spotted. I think there's a hook you can hang on.
Oh crap. Okay.
Oh. You'll get a horseshoe back though with the coins here.
Oh, that's what, because I was like, I seem to have horseshoes all the time, but I never noticed actually picking one
that you're
up.
grabbing them? Yeah, it's 100 coins.
I figured it was extra life, not a horseshoe.
I think, so if you have a golden horseshoe, which is 2 horseshoes just stacked, I think then if you got 100 coins, it's an extra life, I think. One of those type of systems. The way it stacks up.
I always feel like in this era of platformer, like when you just like smash something out, a bunch of collectibles pop out, like especially Ratchet and Clank. Like I still feel like that looks impressive.
Yeah.
Like
it's like early knack,
Yeah.
It's like, look at all the things we can have on screen.
Yeah, exactly. Ain't nothing wrong with knack.
Oh, yeah, there's the hook. I knew there was something.
There we go.
Look at all those coins. I remember the game that got me to pursue a PSP was Kingdom Hearts. I wanted Birth by Sleep so bad.
That was, and I think that's the best Kingdom Hearts game. I've still never played 3, but I think it's the best one.
It is the best one. I love Birth by Sleep.
Yeah, I felt like the gameplay systems for like how you like power up your abilities and stuff was like by far the most interesting.
Thank you. You yes, someone else. I'm not alone. I'm a big Birth by Sleep fan.
Yeah.
And I remember I was going to save up for the bundle. There was like a platinum colored PSP. I want to say 2000, I think, at the time. It may have been a 3000. That came with Kingdom Hearts. And that's what I was going to get. and a buddy across the street was like, I got a PSP I don't use anymore. You can have it. And so that's how I got the PSP 1000. But it didn't have the nub on the thumbstick, so it was just the pointy part.
Oh, it was like broken off.
So the PSP thumbsticks just kind of pop off.
Oh,
They
really?
just go up. Yeah. And he was missing his, so it fell off somewhere. And I have not thought to replace it in those however many years it's been since. I just replaced it last week. $6 for like a pack of 10 of them on Amazon.
Wow.
And now I finally, my thumb dug
you
into
could actually,
the PSP.
you could actually get like do they make like nice ones?
Oh, they probably do. I didn't even think of that.
That like have like a little bigger and have like an indent or something. Like that
Possibly.
That would be like this is like blowing my mind that it's like that easy to like take off. Like I had no idea.
Someone called The Last of Us, which I appreciate, says only the 1000 sticks do that.
Oh, okay.
They think. So
I'm really intrigued to look into this though. Like if if they make a nice one for that, because I would be. The only thing though, the 1000s don't have video output, so. Yes,
that's why I've never had that. I've never done PSP output until the PS TV, which is through official emulation or what have you. But I guess if you're hacking it as well, you could do it through Adrenaline, which has some other options. But yeah, that's like the give and take. But I do not. My PSP experience, there's a permanent indent on my left thumb.
Seriously?
No, not a permanent one. But it sounded funny in my mind. I played. The PSP was a good introduction actually to a lot of PlayStation stuff before, because I played PS1 stuff on there that I wasn't able to play before. That's where I played Metal Gear Solid for the first time. I still vividly remember beating that game. I was out on a trip somewhere.
The PS1 classic version.
Correct. The PS1 classic Metal Gear Solid on the PSP. And I remember I was on a trip and I couldn't fall asleep or something. So I was like, I'll stay up and play, but I didn't want to wake the other people in the hotel room. So I went and just sat outside in the hallway of the hotel. And beat Metal Gear Solid, having my mind blown.
So,
right?
So you're just like out in the middle of a hotel lobby and just snake.
Exactly. And all this stuff. I don't have headphones. I'm fighting Metal Gear Rex. I'm throwing my chaff grenades. The whole bit, and just having my mind absolutely, utterly blown.
You got all the dominant genes. I got all the recessive genes. Just like the idea of just like the middle of a hotel lobby, or a hotel, not even a lobby, just like in a hallway. This is very funny to me.
It is. No, it's absolutely hilarious.
I
was thinking.
Oh, go on.
Oh, I was just gonna say I've been thinking lately about Metal Gear Solid 1 and specifically Twin Snakes. In light of Metal Gear Delta.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, I wonder if people will treat Metal Gear Delta like they treated Twin Snakes.
I mean, it looks like it's very faithful. You know,
it doesn't. They are not changing cutscenes.
Yeah. So yeah, Oh no! Wait, did I run out? Oh no! I ran out of lives.
Oh no!
Oh my goodness! Wow.
Oh no!
Little bit more of a. I mean, it's not like ultra difficult or anything, but it's like I was expecting this game to have like no challenge.
They introduce a health bar going forward. Shocker.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, for some reason I just imagined this was like a crazy, just nothing to it
more
game.
Breezy thing.
Yeah.
No, the one hit thing is actually.
Well, I mean,
a little surprising.
Don't get me wrong. I appreciate it. I like a good challenge in my platformers. And I feel like I feel like most 3D platformers kind of rely on the exploration aspect of the game to be what hooks you, but it's always nice when there's also like some actual like platforming and combat challenge to it. And I think largely the fact that it came from Sucker Punch kind of made me think that it was going to be really easy, because like I feel like Infamous is like they really like they try so hard to make Infamous just like very easy to play, and you just like stick exactly to, you know, what you intend to jump onto. There's no actual like risk in the platforming in Infamous, right? So
yeah,
I expected
Infamous
this
is about feeling good while being bad,
yes.
or good, depending on what you do. But it is all about just the feel of being a superhero.
Yeah, the power fantasy, I guess.
And particles. They're very obsessed with particles coming into the PS4.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, I feel like Infamous informed a lot of what I expected of this game, and I don't love Infamous 1 that much. And I actually started a couple of years ago. Started Infamous 2. For some reason, didn't finish it, but that one seems. I think that's the fan favorite. I
believe so. So Infamous 1 and 2 are blind spots. I've played Second Son, but
I've also
Infamous
played...
was the thing I never went back to when I did get a PS3. Surprisingly,
yeah.
Given my love of Sucker Punch.
Yeah, I played. I have played Second Son and First Light, and I would say those are my favorite Infamous games. But I've not played that far into. That far into 2.
Did First Light ever get a physical release, or was bundled with like a game, a complete edition?
It did. Is it Asian? Hang on, I'm going to get off the shelf because I can't remember if it was an Asian copy or a European copy. Let me see.
Okay. It did. Soteness says it did, so I believe. But try is gone. So now we have the stream chat. This is ours. Let's see. I mean, where is Ghost of Tsushima 2? I mean, quite frankly. Why has it not been announced?
Yeah, here it is. It is a Asian physical. Yeah, I think this might be like the first like Asia physical that I was ever aware of. Like I don't even know if I was aware that there was like just like a generic Asia region that, you know, and now that's like
a release, yeah.
Right, and that's like such a common thing, like Play Asia, like those Asia physicals are like the most reliable ones that will probably have English on like a Switch cart.
Oh, true. Yeah, Phoenix, right?
Yeah, I really liked this. This was really good. Like just a nice, you know, shorter game. But yeah, I mean, you know, now you can, you know, the same thing often happens with Japanese physicals, but it's like it's not as reliable. Like I would say, like 80% of the time, you can probably count on, like if there's not a English, like an American or European physical, like probably like 80% of the time, the Japanese version will load up in English on a Switch. But there are cases where the Japanese version won't, but the Asia version will. So yeah, this was like the first. I think that was the first time I ever bought anything like that. I'm pretty sure we you know, it's so quaint to think back on it. We did a video like a long time ago that's like digital only on disc, and I think it was a separate video maybe where we oh good, I just noticed that at least the bottles I pick up are already collected. Oh, do I?
The Gaming Nostalgia says it was your International Physical Releases episode from 2017.
Okay, yeah. Oh, yes, I forgot about that. Okay, yeah, and you know, it's funny to think about that, and it's funny to think about like we did this one thing that was like digital games on physical disc, like that was like either just before or maybe just after like limited run kind of started to become a thing, and like now that's like a whole business model that like multiple companies are chasing, and it's just really funny to think, I think, that we did that video as like, oh, this is like an interesting new idea, that we saw like all of these like smaller games, and like so many of those games that we'll cover in that episode are games that I would have like absolutely never bought today. But just the fact that it was like we were looking on Amazon, we're like, wow, like look at all these games that we've never heard of. It like it created this feeling of like looking at games in a game store again. And it's like, wow, what is
the rental
this?
store,
What
like
is,
on the shelf?
Yeah,
like, what is this?
Like this looks like just like being interested in a game by just looking at the box, right? And so it kind of created that feeling again, and it's like, wow, this is neat. And it seemed like such a unusual thing, but now that's just like, crazily enough, like physical media is in a pretty good place now, right? So
it is and it isn't, depending on, you know.
It's like the writing is on the wall, and yet there is more. Like it seems more of a sure thing that like the best indie games aren't going to be download only forever, right?
Yes,
I'm almost always like, oh, this is surely going to get a physical copy. I mean, it's rare. Like something like Cyber Shadow is like a relatively rare example of like a really compelling.
Where is Cyber Shadow physical? Come on, guys.
Yeah, like that's a really weird one that one hasn't got it, but and it's only weird because of how consistent in general
Yacht Club.
Well, and you know what's weird is Yacht Club published like a physical of like Azure Striker Gunvolt Chronicles or whatever. It's like, you guys did a physical of that for someone else, like, and then the Cyber Shadow was also not like internal Yacht Club.
Right, they're
like,
just publishing.
They were publishing it for someone else, so it's like, well, you published this game physically for someone else. Why not that? I don't get that at all.
And Cyber Shadow was so good. Alan Wake 2 is a great example. Dimension. It's Dimension with an M. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'm so sorry. But I've been waiting for the physical release of that game because I had to believe that Alan Wake 2 would become physical. And lo and behold, it's out in October. I have my copy pre-ordered, and I'm pumped about it.
Same here.
Yeah, I'm really excited. And back to the indie point, though, just got announced for physical release. Penny's Big Breakaway.
Yes. I'm excited.
I kind of feel like if I'm not picking up indie games at launch, they just kind of end up coming physical eventually. That's what happened with Inscription. That's what's happening with Cocoon.
I have them. Yes.
Man, I'm getting
This happens for me so rarely. I'm excited.
And this is a big level with 40 bottles. Cheesemeister, yes.
Well, it's
adorably all digital is a Shutter phrase, and that pretty much happened at the Xbox event, but they just didn't redesign it.
Yeah. It's so weird too that like, I mean, I feel like I feel like a big part of the reason that hold down the triangle button. Oh, I can't use both at the same time?
Yeah, you have to hot swap.
Interesting.
They address this in the future too, I think.
I see. Dive, roll.
Yep.
Okay, so it's just,
I would be careful to not roll in the water.
I feel like the dive is probably more useful.
Yes, because it's an attack as well.
Yes. So yeah, what were we saying? Half-Life, or not Half-Life? Alan Wake 2.
Alan Wake, physical.
Yes. This is exciting. And like, I heard so much about how, Alan Wake really needed to do well for Remedy, or else, they could potentially be concerned for the future. And you know, I feel like so many people underestimate how much a physical copy can do for your game. I think it's really underestimated these days. I bet Alan Wake 2 is going to do really well physically. So
I think so too. The apparently Alan Wake Remastered physical, at least on PS5, pretty expensive nowadays.
Really?
I just found this out the other day. I think in light of the news of Alan Wake 2 being its physical release, the PS5 version, I think, sealed is like over $100.
Wow. I have it. I think on PS5.
I picked that game up with some buddies at a GameStop when I was visiting them a couple years ago. I was like, I will play the Remedy game someday. I'll grab this, and it was like 20 or something bucks. You know, wasn't that expensive.
Yeah, I mean,
now
I just bought
it's one of those that's like, oh, this is expensive all of a sudden.
Yeah, you
so,
just
yeah,
can never guess.
Alan Wake Remastered PS5 price charting. Complete in box is $70, new is just over $100. But the Xbox version is like $35 complete, and the PS4 is like $40. So it's really just the PS5 version that seems to be having the power.
That is really weird. Yeah. Huh.
Rise to Blood? Re-Rise?
Rears to Blood? That's what we say, Rears to Blood.
Rears to Blood. I worked for Max, you worked for IGN as a reviewer. I was a guide writer, so I did guides. But no, I did never hear anything about the God Hand review at that site from those folks. So,
I mean, I bet no one that was involved in that is even there anymore.
I'm not even familiar with this one. What's the controversy there?
Oh, I mean, that's probably IGN's most infamous, like, low score.
Oh, okay. All right.
They gave this game that was directed by Shinji Mikami, you know, the father of Resident Evil, director of Resident Evil 1 and 4. They gave it, and I've not really played that much, so I can't really even say for myself how good it is. I've played it a little bit, but it's definitely a little weird and janky, but it's so over the top, and like, the people who did buy it freaking loved it, but the bad review IGN gave that has probably had a greater impact on its sales and ultimately how expensive it is now than probably just about anything I can think of. Because it sold very poorly, probably because of the bad IGN review, and it's very expensive.
Okay, I did not. That's interesting. Every now and then big publications have kind of a flop, a review or article like that really doesn't mirror reality.
Oh boy, I don't know what. The stick goes. Okay.
This is the race level that was so hard for us as kids. So Godspeed. It killed Clover Studios. Okay, so same folks behind Beautiful Joe then. Okay, now I'm connecting some dots.
This definitely like controls a little weird, but like it feels good. Like the animation is really good, and the way the camera moves is really good.
It's very smooth.
It's neat. Sense. Like it almost makes me think of like just like the shape of the vehicle too. Like it almost makes me think of like, what if they made like a 3D RC Pro-Am, right? Like it has that vibe about it.
This is like you can imagine a world where they made a Sly Cooper kart racer.
Absolutely.
Especially
still
in that
waiting
era.
for Uncarded.
Oh my gosh, such a good name. And the only thing they were really missing that generation.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a little sad now that like the whole thing of like Naughty Dog doing having like one series per generation, just like fully exploring all the ideas that they can come up with for that over the course of a generation, and then they do something completely different the next generation. I miss that.
I do too, and I think I feel it the most here with the PS5, because the PS4, you know, their output obviously slowed way down, and it was just Uncharted 4 and The Last of Us Part 2 and Lost Legacy. So they kind of like did PS3 generation but refined, right? How big can we make it? What, where can we push it? And then obviously the PS5 has been Uncharted 4, The Lost Legacy, and The Last of Us Part 2. So and The Last of Us Part 1, which, ground up remake is cool and all, but when you think about what they were doing in the PS3, the PS2, the PS1, and even the PS4, I like those games. It's just like, man, the output. And now also in light of The Last of Us Online being canned.
Yeah.
Because I loved factions. I really do enjoy that multiplayer. So I was excited for that game, not just because it's Naughty Dog, but I enjoyed that tension there. Now it's just years of the studio's dev cycle is just shut down and gone, and they have multiple games in the works, sure. Definitely a new IP is there, which can't wait to see that. It's been over a decade since we've gotten new IP from Naughty Dog.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
we all know The Last of Us Part 3 is also in the works there, so...
I mean, I'm glad they understood that, they finally had the revelation, or they may have known this from the beginning, but were finally able to convince Sony, like, we're not the right studio to do a live service game. That would have ruined them. That is not a good fit for them.
No, I was excited for the ideas of like what they could do narratively in that game, but the idea that it has to be live service in the sense of it has to have a 7-year, 10-year plan, a Destiny 2 type thing, you guys were talking about Final Fantasy 14 earlier. I know that's MMO, different in that sense, but this thing that just has to perpetually live and live and live and live. No, Naughty Dog isn't the team for that. It is unfortunate that what happened, it seems, is factions got cut from The Last of Us Part 2 to become this live service game because of what seems to be kind of the directive from Jim Ryan and all these live service games, which are now being pulled back, and Contraband and things like that are coming out.
I mean, I think it would have been a fine idea if like another studio was in charge of it and under maybe some supervision, but
it seems like it got messy and out of hand, and it's a bummer.
Yeah.
But we'll see what's really crazy is it's just been 4 years and no new Naughty Dog? Like new,
Yeah.
It's
yeah, I agree.
But they still, they make great stuff, but it does feel like it's a long wait.
They just like increasingly get more and more perfectionist.
Yes, absolutely.
I saw that we got a $2 super chat from Skelvin Knight. Thank you, saying is that like a shortcut or something? Like it feels like there's got to be a shortcut or something, because you're right. This is really hard. Is that a shortcut?
There is. No, as far as I remember, there's no shortcut.
Yeah, it almost looks like there could be a shortcut. But yeah, this is tough. It's kind of fun, but it's tough. Anyway, did either of you play Stranger of Paradise? I am looking forward to playing Stranger of Paradise, in all honesty. I have it. I haven't played through it, but I played the demo, and I liked the ideas behind it in terms of, I'm not like the biggest fan of the style of gameplay that's just like, square, 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 triangle, or square, square, triangle, and it's like, a different, the Devil May Cry genre. Like I will play and enjoy those games, but the gameplay itself is like not my favorite style, I would say. It's like it's a totally serviceable mechanism for me to enjoy the other aesthetic trappings of the game. But the gameplay itself is very like whatever to me. So I liked the idea that it's very much built around like you build your own combos. Like you choose like what is square triangle, what is square square triangle, what is square 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 triangle. Like you collect and unlock and equip those as you see fit, rather than it just being like, well, this you have your skill tree and you unlock the square square triangle ability, and it is what it is, right? I like the ideas behind it, and I even kind of like the idea of just how stupid the whole thing is too. So I am actually legit looking forward to playing through it. I feel like it has potential to actually probably be kind of decent.
Before I answer that, Spicy Pickle says to use the nitro boost around the corners, so that might be a secret.
Corners. See that goes against what you would think. You would think you use them straight away.
So maybe that could be a pro tip here. But as for Stranger of Paradise, that's the Final Fantasy game, right? That,
right.
With the emo boy.
I don't know about
moody.
More like emo man.
Emo man. Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
I'm saying boy.
What like that? Literally, I'm pretty sure literally plays Limp Bizkit on his phone.
Yeah, something like that. I have not. Final Fantasy, I have only played half of 3/6.
Okay.
And I think I had a DS one for a hot minute. Final Fantasy is a huge gap, in my gaming back catalog. I would love to play some of the highlights. I'd love to beat 3/6. I call it 3 because that's what I have on the cartridge. I know it's 6.
I mean, that's my favorite. So it's a good one to pick.
It's so I started playing it on my Super NT. I think with the DAC, like I was playing it on the CRT to get the feel right.
Mm-hmm.
And I got halfway, and I clearly was under-leveled to, I couldn't beat the boss before the world would crash down.
That one.
Yes, and so I just kind of stopped. I was getting kind of frustrated, I think, and stopped. But then, just so happenstance, are you familiar with boss fight books at all?
I've heard of it, yeah. I don't think I have any of them. Also, big thanks for that. Use the boost on the corners. That was...
Boost on the corners was the secret. Spicy Pickles.
Not at all what I expected. That was a fun little mini game, especially because, yeah, you're right. You use them in kind of a different place than you would expect, which kind of made it. I mean, it was not intuitive, but once you understood, it actually kind of made it a fun dynamic.
Yes.
To the race.
So Spicy Pickles for the win there. But anyway, I've reviewed a couple of their books. They put out an open call for, we're getting ready to release these. If anyone wants to review these books, just reach out. And I thought that would be a fun creative challenge as a writer to review a book. I'd never reviewed a book before. And so I reviewed their Silent Hill 2 book by Mike Drucker, who's a comedian. And that was fun.
Yeah.
I've never played Silent Hill 2, or any Silent Hill for that matter, but I thought it would be good, and that, that's the most famous of them. But then they did a Final Fantasy 6 book. And I thought, well, yeah, I'll do that as well. And that was a really cool book because they had a guy named Sebastian Decken, I think, review it. And he went to school for opera studies. And basically talks about the book from this musical perspective, and then obviously the famous play scene, the opera stuff there. But he goes through the whole game and how the musical themes of each character ties into the narrative design and the game design. And so from that book, I learned what happens in the back half of the game, and I'm like, man, this game sounds awesome. So
wow, I never thought about it that deeply.
Yeah, it was really fun to read that book, and I would love to go back. I guess I just have to figure out how to grind. I don't know. I'm saved on the island, I think. You can
definitely grind on the floating continent, for sure.
Okay, so maybe that's just what I got to do, because that's where I'm stuck, and I would love to see, actually see it for myself, it play out.
I once beat that game in 23 hours in one sitting.
holy smokes, try.
That was the first. I mean, of course, these days with like speedrunning and all, like that's probably like not impressive at all. But it was like the first marathon stream I ever did.
Okay,
and
cool.
I was like, so it was always this joke with a friend of mine growing up. Well, I say growing up, more like high school, I guess. But
it's growing up.
We used to every time, like not every time, but like it was kind of this joke that if I was at my house, or I was at his house, or he was at my house, and it was almost time to go home, and we like finished up doing, playing Mario Party or Smash Brothers or Perfect Dark, whatever the heck we were playing. And we'd be like, oh man, there's not enough time to, what are we going to do? What do you want to do? And like, we inevitably, like one of us would have eventually say like, quick round of Final Fantasy VI?
Quick round.
Yeah, round. Yeah, like I mean, like complete nonsense. Just
absolutely,
just a dumb joke. But like when I was in college, between my junior and senior years, there's her again.
Carmelita.
The only one making wrong turns is you, Sly. I'd suggest you surrender before I paralyze you with my good friend, the shock pistol.
The shock pistol.
Best friends of firearms got issues.
But anyway,
Dancing, I think I can
Sounds
in
romantic.
between junior and senior years in college,
I hear the service is lousy.
Once I catch you, you'll know for yourself.
my parents were moving to Michigan, so I never like say like I moved to Michigan, because like I was barely there since I was in college at the time, and then I was there for like a summer and a half and 2 Christmases, so I don't really feel like I moved there.
Yeah, my parents also moved while I was in college. I did not go with them because they moved up to to South Carolina, and I was finishing up school here in Florida, so I just bummed around friends' houses essentially.
Yeah.
Until I graduated.
So anyway, when I was moving, like the last time I ever saw that friend, actually, probably just a few days before we moved, I would say, we were like, okay, like, can we do it? Like, can we just sit down and just play through Final Fantasy VI in one visit? And we did not make it, but that was always felt like this regret I had that I wanted to correct. And so when we did the first marathon stream we ever did for the Backloggery, it was the first or second year of is it called is it Extra Life? Is that what it's called? I think
yes, that is a charity
marathon, a 24. Yeah, you're supposed to play for 24 hours or something. It was the first or second year of that, because we got into streaming pretty early.
Trailblazers.
Yeah, exactly. And so I that was the first thing that popped in my mind. I'm like, okay, can I beat Final Fantasy VI in one? I mean, of course I ate and went to the bathroom, but fundamentally
right.
one sitting. 24 hours. That felt like a good goal. And it was cutting it close.
Sounds 23 hours. Yeah, that is cutting.
It was close because I got to the final battle and I died, and so it was kind of this gamble of okay, I need to grind, but the final battle is also quite long, so I knew I was under-leveled, obviously, because I was rushing, right? So it was this big gamble of okay, I gotta grind, but how long do I grind? I don't want to grind past the point that I run out of time to even finish the final battle. Oh, but I don't want to not grind enough that I die again.
Right. It's like, what's the right amount of grind?
Yeah. So it was tight. It was very tight, but very satisfying. And my cart still has maintained that save. Coury's backed it up anyway.
I was gonna say you could just back it up.
Yeah, Coury's backed it up, but the card, last time I booted up the card, it's still good. But what's fun about that save in particular too is that was like such early backloggery days, so it's got like a bunch of the longtime backloggery members, like the early days people as the character names, because what we did was, like, I forget what it was. If you donated like $10 or $20, like people who like did like did a larger amount like ahead of time, they could request a character. So so that was that's kind of a special save. Coury,
that's the fun stuff to preserve.
Coury was Locke. Like, that's probably like the first like interaction I ever had with Coury.
Isn't that amazing?
Was like so him cool. Like donating that and asking for Locke.
That's awesome.
So it's like, it's cool. It's a cool thing.
I remember being like dabbling with streaming. I'm talking very loosely. I was probably in 8th grade. It was probably that 8th grade time. But with Stickam, did you ever remember a service called Stickam?
Well, I thought that was like a USB capture thing.
Or was it Stickam? I think it was Stickam.
Wait, why do I have all 30 bottles? Why is the chest not, or the safe not activating?
Is it not? Maybe walk away, come back?
Yeah. What's the deal?
Yeah, Stickam was a video live streaming website that launched in 2005.
Oh no, I hit the circle button and it worked, I guess. I thought it automatically did it. Anyway.
Wake up, Bentley. We have a safe to crack. That's pretty funny. Spicy pickles. Yeah, but I remember streaming Game Boy Advance emulation on Stickam. I'm like, here's how you guys can emulate your Game Boy games. That was my dabbling with it early on, but I think that video is still up on like one of my original YouTube channels, so I'll never speak the name of it out loud again. Publicly, so sorry, you'll have to deep dive for it, but it is still out there.
Slow down time, so this slows down enemies? Like, it doesn't seem to be doing anything, I guess, because there's no enemies around?
I think enemies, yes.
They just move slowly. Yeah, there's no, like, pew effect or anything.
It's not like bullet time or anything, I don't think.
Whoa!
Oh yeah, she's back.
I don't think that slow is doing anything against her either. So I'm just.
Maybe not her. Actually, yeah.
Probably not her. I mean, she's like she's kind of a boss or a nemesis.
A nemesis, an environmental hazard in Smash Brothers terms.
Whoopsie. Oh, that was close. Grab that ladder. Whoa.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man.
I like how these levels are just scattered with mattresses.
Yeah, I mean, they look real nasty.
The slums of Vegas. Oh, that's right. She floats away.
Oh, she just like disappeared.
She floats away on a balloon.
Let's see, how many keys do I have? I have 5 keys. Oh, this music's like bow wow.
Wow. Yeah, they lead into the vibe.
Bow wow.
Pretty hard. kind of like a tier below NPC. A bit roast said that being called an environmental hazard is rough. It's like a tier below NPC.
Yeah, I feel kind of bad about that now.
A little bit, but she really is kind of an environmental hazard in this game. She takes on a bigger role in future games, so with her many different voice actresses. So I did wanna call out Zane's dad. Said that they finally made it tonight, and they were spending all this time hooking up games in the game room, systems and stuff. I get the struggle.
Oh yeah.
I was talking with Trey, and I talked about this a little bit. Rewiring for the Tink 4K. It took me like 6 hours to rewire everything. I just had to take a Saturday. And I can only imagine Try setup.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we were Zane's dad moved. Not that long ago, and I don't remember the numbers, but I definitely remember he was talking about how many systems he had to unhook and pack up, and I think a number of CRTs as well. So yes, I believe it sounded, the way he put it made it sound more daunting than it would be if I had to move. So I felt much sympathy.
Oh my goodness! Well, Zane's dad. Godspeed with the rest of the game room wiring and unpacking. That sounds. I've moved a lot in my life, and as unfortunately some game stuff has been consequence of that over time, because just parents were making decisions I couldn't make myself. So it's the way it goes. What is it? Let's minimize that. There we go. Need another component splitter so I can use my second CRT along with the PVM and the Tink. That was kind of what I prepared the way before the Tink 4K, and I finally got an Extron Crosspoint. Thanks to a My Life in Gaming video, I learned about component switchers and options, and I found one for about $40.
Nice.
So it's an 8-4, so 8 in, 4 out. And
that might be a good idea. I don't know if the guy who, I think he's in the UK, so he might not be watching, but there was a guy in our Discord channel today talking about how he accidentally plugged the wrong power supply into his component switcher, and it seems fried. So he was really concerned about what his options were, because a lot of options aren't cheap. but an Extron, I don't know how common those are in the UK, but an Extron definitely good as a good component switcher for sure.
I got lucky with finding this $40 listing on like a music equipment reselling site. Was where it was, and it showed up basically brand new. All of the documentation and software were still sealed in the box, and it was in the original Extron box.
Dang.
With the foam and everything. So I got very lucky there. The thing with the Extrons is you've got to buy the audio little RC things to get the audio out and all.
That aspect I don't like about them.
No, it's not. I think in mine, the problem with the model that I have is the bottom row of those BNC ports is too close to where you would plug in those Phoenix adapters. So they kind of jut out a little bit. They don't sit all the way in. I think there is another Phoenix adapter that is horizontal that would be lower. But the thing with that is that one is like a 3.5 millimeter in, so you'd have to buy a RCA to 3.5 like splitter. So then you got more stuff dangling, but it would avoid bumping into. It's a whole thing.
I mean, now that you mentioned that, I feel like I remember like trimming something around like the Phoenix adapters or something.
I used sandpaper to try.
Yeah, because I think I had to get like Yeah, I think there was something that was just a little too tight, and I don't quite remember what the deal was, but yeah. Oopsie.
I don't know. Maybe Henry, since he's in the area. Maybe Henry will know. I really need someone to like tune my Trinitron. I have a 24-inch or something consumer Trinitron, and the geometry is starting to get a little wonky, and I'm too deathly afraid to open the thing up, try to adjust it.
I know the feeling.
But I cannot find someone local for the life of me that knows how to do it and would happily pay. I want to try and keep this thing going for as long as possible, and it's starting to get a little wonky in that upper right-hand corner. I feel sad.
Yeah.
Because I don't have Tampa. That would be worth a road trip. Load the tube up.
I mean, like Steve is like 4 hours from my house, but that's worth it for some of this stuff, right? You know,
right? Yeah,
it is worth driving a few hours for it, because I mean,
I've fought very hard to keep this CRT. I'm not in garages. I mean, people would look at me and go, "Why are you keeping this thing?" I'm like, "It's the only way to hook up all these old consoles," which was a true statement at the original time, but also just it's a way to, like, it was originally supposed to look, you know, and
it's, you know,
you get it. Everyone here gets it.
Yeah, you don't have to justify yourself here.
Not to this group.
This is a safe space for CRT talk, okay?
safe CRT space. Is it getting discolored, or are you seeing the pin cushion effect? I'm not familiar with the pin cushion effect. It's starting to, like, the colors are banding out. Like, I'm seeing the red, the green, and the blue.
That sounds like it's like a convergence thing, which, like,
yes,
could be,
I believe so.
Could be capacitors, like a mixture of, like, you would probably want to recap it, but you would also probably want to, well, you want to recap it, but once you recap it, then you want to, like, reconverge the beams.
Everything.
Yeah.
And I know it's never been cleaned inside, so there's so much dust in there.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's worth it. Worth a refurb.
I just need to find the person. The problem. I haven't found the person yet, and
maybe we can connect with Henry on Discord.
Fight the good fight.
And
yes,
I can help connect you with Henry on Discord, and he can get you the hot tips. Am I dead, or is my camera just stuck? I don't think I'm dead.
Your camera.
Okay, my camera. Okay, we're good.
Oh well, now you might be dead.
No, I'm good. I still got a horseshoe. Okay. Even.
Oh whoa, you do. Whoa. For the love of game, the person could be me, Mac. Yes, it could be me. But I'm too deathly afraid of. I've watched the videos. I understand the rules and the safety precautions that one should take when dealing with the CRT, but I am just too afraid.
Yeah. Well, it's very complicated inside, you know, and you know, you gotta, you know, once you have recapped it, you gotta, you know, you gotta get all the things back in the right place. You gotta be sure you didn't miss a cap, and you know,
and as someone with no soldering experience but does want to learn,
you do not want to start with a CRT, that's for sure.
No, that's definitely not the spot.
That's that's like you know that's like your you know your dissertation on your on your soldering journey. It's I mean, I still need to, you know, do preschool and learn to swap my own batteries.
Yes, that's where I would like to start. That and maybe a Game Boy mod, you know, maybe something, a Game Boy Color mod.
Yeah, like do a DMG mod. You gotta swap like the speaker, you know.
Sure, something simple that won't totally kill the vibe. Don't cross the beams. That's right, Cheesemaster.
All right, let's see. I'm going to see if I have enough keys to go in this over here. If not, then might be a good stopping point for the night. I don't think I have enough keys. How many keys is this?
I think 7. I see.
I'm only one short. Should I go for it? Should I go for one more?
I'm down.
Let's go for one more. If you got time, I got time.
I've got time. I'm here.
Yeah, because I got 6.
For the love of game says do it.
Have I done that one? I think I did that one. Let's see where else we got to go. Yeah, I really like the layout of these hubs. Like, you know, the whole like heist theme, and then like kind of the slowly pushing further and further into the level. Like, it actually like kind of gives me kind of the same vibes as like Persona 5.
Yeah.
You know, kind of with the heist theme, and then, you know, slowly progressing through the dungeons. Like, they do a good job of like kind of opening up the levels in a gradual way that really does feel like exploring the level in a sort of heist-like context. I appreciate it.
If you continue playing the Sly games, you will really, I think, enjoy Sly Cooper 2.
Yeah, I mean, I am impressed. I am enjoying this a heck of a lot more than I expected. Like, I thought I would.
That is so wonderful.
I thought I would think it was okay, but this is actually super good. I think this is a lot better than I thought. So thank you for finally forcing me to start this.
It just occurred to me simply because of the PS5. You know, emulated port. I was like, well, Sly Cooper's kind of like in the zeitgeist right now, and I personally have been itching for a replay, and I was like, well, maybe I can just live vicariously through Try for an evening. It seems like a pretty good idea, and I'm glad we did it. I love this, man.
I am very glad.
And maybe this will also inspire you to get the rest of them.
Well, yeah, because I was looking at, like I said, I was looking at them at the Midwest Gaming Classic. But I was like, well, I still don't really know like how much I'm going to like the first one. And they're not like super expensive, but they're not cheap. You know, they're like at least 30, if not 40 some dollars. And I kind of feel like I want to play them on original hardware, even though the PS3 versions I'm sure are very good.
They are very good. So price charting, everyone's favorite tool. Price charting says Sly to complete in box about $25-$26.
Okay,
and,
not as bad as I thought.
It says Sly 3 Honor Among Thieves is only like $12 complete in box.
Oh, what? Maybe I'm remembering the prices wrong from the convention, or maybe they were overpriced.
I do. So the Sly Collection, that PS3 one you're talking about, I do know that one is pricey.
Oh, yeah?
So the Sly Cooper Collection for PS3, the Sly Collection, that's around $43 for PS3, and the Vita version is around $53. So I do know that.
So
and then
what's,
Sly 4 is pretty cheap, I think.
Yeah. That's PS3 only, is that right?
The Sly Collection is PS3 and Vita. There's a physical version for Vita.
But I meant Thieves in Time. That's Sly 4, right?
Oh, Thieves in Time, yes. I'm sorry, yes.
PS3 only?
Well, PS3 and Vita. It was one of those cross-buy games. So you could buy it on PS3 and get the Vita version.
Okay.
Or buy the physical Vita version. So
I mean, I would want to get a physical copy because I'm me.
Yes.
But I'm pretty sure actually I have Thieves in Time free on my, because I think it was like given away for free at some point for some reason on PS3.
I think so.
In fact, I think I remember. I'm pretty sure I let my parents borrow my PS3 when, or no, so my parents had a PS3 because they had
Netflix?
Well, no, they had PS3 because Best Buy was doing some deal where, like, if you bought a Sony TV, you got free PS3. Like,
not a bad deal.
Yeah, it was like shortly after like the Slim came out and the whole rebrand and everything.
Yeah.
And they used it for Blu-rays. Although my parents aren't like big movie people, so it was rarely used. But what it was used for was like if they kept like they like to keep my cousin's kids like one at a time over the summer back when they were younger, and I'm pretty sure. So I think I logged into my account so like I would have like the free games for them to play, and I'm pretty sure I remember watching like my cousin's daughter play like a good bit of. I think it was Thieves in Time.
Probably,
because it was. I had it on there for free for some reason.
Yeah. So Thieves in Time, I obviously remember, big Sly fan, right? And finally, the new game.
Yeah.
And it came out on a Tuesday or what have you, when video games would come out, and I was in high school at the time and desperately wanted to, skip school and play Sly Cooper all day. That was just what I wanted to do. And my mother said no, of course. So it just so happens that my school was having a blood drive that day, and so you could, volunteer, donate some blood, and get a little snack or whatever. So I decided to do the blood drive in the morning and then just say, I'm not feeling really great. I'd like to go home, please. And it just so happens I may or may not have stopped at a GameStop on the way home and picked up my pre-order of Sly Cooper Thieves in Time and continued to play that for the rest of the day.
Yeah. And I bet it made you feel a lot better.
It did. I felt a lot better that day. Blood pressure up. Very good. So... Video Game Obsession was asking, how do we feel about Sly Cooper Thieves in Time? I think for the group, for some reason it made them really nauseated to play, which I could kind of see given the movement of that, and had to stop playing after several attempts. I have a softness for Thieves in Time, but I get it. I think that's those rose-tinted glasses coming in for the original games. And seeing a new developer tackle it, that was kind of a big deal at the time.
Oh yeah, I guess that makes
well.
sense because I didn't realize it wasn't Sucker Punch, but yeah, of course, because they were definitely keeping pretty busy in that time.
Mm-hmm, they were all infamous, and so it was Sanzaru who did the collection, kind of as like a trial run, like, oh, if you do the collection, and then maybe you can make the new one. So they made the new one. Sanzaru now belongs to Facebook Meta, and they just made that VR game that's been pretty well received, Azur's Wrath or something along those lines.
Or Asgard's Wrath?
Something.
Like
it has
the
a 2 in
Norse
the title.
Yeah. It
Came with your Quest 3?
It came for free with the Quest 3, yeah. It's
they are pushing...
I tried it. It's pretty good from the little bit I tried.
It's apparently reviewed pretty well.
It's apparently really long.
IGN backup,
like
I think they...
like
yeah,
a
like
full-on
40
RPG type thing.
Yeah, full-blown game. So they that's apparently pretty good, but I think that's what Sanzaru's up now, is making VR games for Meta. But I like Sly Cooper 4. I liked the idea of... So the premise of it is time travel, and that time traveling to visit the relatives that you're collecting in these books, the moves and things when you beat a boss, and it's like, well, this is Ryoichi Cooper's secret move. Well, in Sly 4, you time travel, meet those characters, and get to play as them. So it was cool for someone who loved the series, but I have not played it since, and again, long overdue for a replay. I think the only other games with Sly in it are like PlayStation All-Star Battle Royale and that one PS Move game that had Jak and Daxter and Sly in it. Like it was this mascotty PS Move game.
I don't remember that.
Does someone in chat remember the name of that one? I can go to the Googles.
All right.
PlayStation Move Heroes.
Oh,
it has Ratchet.
The name sounds
it's Ratchet,
familiar.
Jak, and Sly. Move Heroes. What a game, man.
All right, I got the door. I'm assuming this is going to be the boss.
It is, yes. After the 7th key is the boss. So you get to fight Mugshot now. By going into his Mugshot.
Is it always like one keyhole roadblock and then a second one and then the boss, or is it sometimes
in Sly
more?
1, yeah. It's like, it's 3 keys then 7 keys.
What? My boys have been yapping about some big mysterious dude running around cracking skulls and
Gosh, they lean so hard into
and this
the...
is it? You're the monkey wrench in my operation?
Well,
This guy's voice sounds really familiar.
Let me look it up for you.
I seen that stick before.
Maybe when my father knocked your block off with it.
Your father? Wow.
Kevin Blackton.
Name doesn't ring a bell. Ain't done anything notable?
Let me check the IMDb. He apparently voiced a couple of characters in Sly Cooper. Mugshot, the Panda King, and Sir Raleigh. He voiced 3 and Clockwork. He voiced every male boss in the game.
Wow.
He's in...
Whoa. Okay, this guy has a walk.
Oh, yeah.
Yikes.
So he's in... Oh, he's the voice of LeChuck in Tales of Monkey Island.
Oh, wow. Maybe I'm hearing a hint of that in his voice. Maybe that's what's...
He's Hardy Knight in Psychonauts.
I've not played that much Psychonauts.
He's Giorgio Zot, Time Crisis 3. I apologize for any
I
butchering.
love Time Crisis 3, but I don't remember that character.
He's
offhand.
Combo in Jet Set Radio Future. Those are the notable ones I'm seeing here.
Yeah,
So.
well, LeChuck is pretty...
Yeah, LeChuck's pretty bad.
That's a heavy hitter. Okay, I heard Bentley say something about sunlight, but I don't...
You gotta like redirect the mirrors or something to blind him.
I don't even see where any light is even coming in to any significant extent.
Oh, the mirrors around the edge of the stage.
Yeah,
Hit them with your cane, and they should like reflect light.
Oh, well, that's weird because they're not like I didn't think they were doing anything because like I don't see light hitting them.
Yes.
That's a little strange, but oh well.
So while you hit the mirrors, we did get a super chat from Matthew, $5.
Thank you.
Love component video cables. RE3 Nemesis and Legend of Dragoon look dope. Also bought Time Crisis 3 with 2 gun cons and works good.
Ooh,
My
nice.
TV is a 27-inch Trinitron. KV27 FV300. I honestly, let me double check. That might be the Trinitron I have.
I was speaking of GunCon games. I was sorely tempted to buy Point Blank 1 yesterday because it's the only one of the PS1 Point Blank games I don't have. But you know, those games are like more expensive than you would think they are, so I was like kind of unsure. Anyway, it was $60. I was like, I don't know, but also it like the case was in great shape, but the disc was like really wrecked.
So my Trinitron, I have a KV27 FS12. So if that means anything to anyone, that is what I'm rocking. So close to number-wise terms, but not quite the same. And now, as I assume after this boss would be the wrap-up of the stream, or close-ish to that, I assume.
Yeah.
So I'll go out with a hot take. I saw something. I have a hot take. A little RE3 Nemesis talk in here, and I saw... Let me find the quote. Oh, where was it? I'm gonna find it. Oh, RE3 Nemesis kicks butt. I love that game. The remake made me sad though. Spicy Pickles, the guy with the tips. I love the remake. I think RE3 remake is an absolute banger of a game. It is. I did the platinum. I mean, beat the game in 90-minute type stuff. I just think that game is just an absolute thriller, top to bottom. Just a blast kind of to play.
I mean, oops. Ah, dang it. I screwed up my jump there. This is pretty unforgiving since they don't give you a horseshoe when you die on the boss.
Yes.
But anyway, I mean, I don't dislike RE3 remake. I thought it was a disappointment. It was also weird how different it was. Like I feel like RE2 and 4 remake strike a superb balance of like familiarity and freshness.
Mm-hmm.
And RE3 is like basically an entirely different game.
And again, I had never played Resident Evil before doing Chapter Select. So I was and I did play RE3 before doing the show, so I'm Resident Evil 7 and 8. So I had no ties to, the original Nemesis game. But I just think...
And you've still never played that one, right?
I still have never played it, correct. We did stick with the remakes for 2 and 3. We did play 4, because the remake wasn't out yet, and we capped our season with the remake. And I also played 4 in VR on the Quest. So I've actually played 4 the most. I guess unless you count all of my replays of 3 for the Platinum. And I want to go back and play it someday because I love Jill and I love the character of Nemesis. I just think the game for me started out so spooky because I didn't, it's Resident Evil. I don't know what's going on. But then it just turns into this action horror romp where you're running and gunning and blowing things up. And it was so video gamey where you could unlock infinite ammo rocket launcher. It wasn't afraid to be a video game.
Yeah.
And not be too serious.
Well,
I really love that.
And the original Resident Evil 3 is more actiony than the games that came before it. Although, but it's still, it plays very similarly, of course, to them. But there's definitely they definitely you start off with a machine gun. Or I take that back. I think you start off with a machine gun only in easy mode. But yeah,
maybe.
But yeah, I mean they the thing. It was just it was really different. Certain environments that I expected to see based on the original game just weren't there in any.
Well, that's
capacity.
What Spicy Pickles is saying. Removal of clock tower.
That was very surprising. That was very surprising.
Okay, cool. So see, there's some RE3 for me to discover yet.
But you know what? There was a bad box art Mega Man statue. And a lot of bad box art Mega Man toys in the game. You remember that in the kind of one of the first hub areas? There's you can go inside a toy store, and there's
oh yes, with the Mega Man statue.
Yes. It's the Mega Man 1, the Mega Man 1
blood statue. Yes.
Bad box art Mega Man. I love that.
Yes. Oh, I do remember now. Yes.
Yeah.
So much fun.
That's probably my favorite part of the game. But I don't dislike it, but I felt like the Nemesis sections were very very scripted. And
sure.
I was that after they did Mr. X so perfectly, I was a little disappointed with how, because I was like, oh man, I was even I didn't understand at the time that I don't think that for some reason I was under the impression that Xbox One had Dolby Atmos, and I was like, oh man, I'm gonna get an Atmos setup before Resident Evil 3 comes out, because
man, that would be great.
Because that would be incredible. And I didn't, and in retrospect, I don't think it would have mattered, because I don't think Atmos existed on the consoles until this generation. And I still don't have Atmos, but I was like, oh man, that's gonna be great. And yeah, it's not like you could have even done it anyway. But I was like, oh man, that's gonna be so good for Nemesis, because Resident Evil 2, you could hear Mr. X like walking above you and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, that's gotta be awesome in Atmos. I don't. The game might not even support it, but it feels like it should.
Kid Cooper.
Regardless,
His specialty was the rail walk,
rail
slide.
I was disappointed by Nemesis because it was very scripted, and like Mr. X in Resident Evil 2 Remake
Getting out of town
felt
proved to be
like
a little more challenging
he was
than getting in.
inspired by Nemesis and
Having just
the
missed us,
original Resident
Inspector
Evil.
Fox went
You know,
from
and sort of the
X-Men
randomness
to
and stuff like
steroid
that.
case off to jail.
Of course, Mr. X was in the original version of
That was
Resident
the
Evil
end of
2,
Mugshot's gambling
but
empire.
he
Assisted
himself was
his
more of like a
citizens soon
prototype for
returned home.
Nemesis. So.
While me and the boys,
You know, it just
well,
it felt
we
like
enjoyed
this
the rest
evolution
our
of a
stay in
concept
America,
through original
and
2,
then returned to
3,
Paris,
and
ready
then
for
2
our next
remake,
mission.
and then 3 remake like just like threw it all out the window, and it was much less good in that regard, I thought.
I get it. I totally can see it.
But
I mean-
that's it. You know, my friend Drum is going to. He's picked it for his October stream game on the Backloggery.
Perfect.
Well, I think I'm going to do Fatal Frame 4 for mine. So yeah, what we had been doing is like, I was playing the new Resident Evil game when it came out that year, you know, on the years that there were new Resident Evil games, and then he played it for stream in October, and then last year he was like, why don't we switch it up this year? And because I want to play Resident Evil 4 Remake right away, you play that in October. So I streamed on the Backloggery. I streamed Resident Evil 4 Remake. It was hard holding off for it, but finally this year, Drum is going to get around to Resident Evil 3 Remake. So I will enjoy getting to vicariously revisit it, and maybe it'll inspire me to replay it myself. I certainly don't dislike it. I just thought it was a disappointment, is all.
I get it. I guess one more Resident Evil hot take. I think the remake is for Resident Evil 4 not so hot.
Oh, really? Okay.
I much prefer the VR version on Quest.
Oh, okay.
And I'm eager to play Resident Evil 4 Remake in VR. That is something I have yet to do.
I tried like 15 minutes of it at John's house.
Okay.
It's pretty neat. It's pretty neat. Although I wouldn't say it's like considerably better than playing RE4 in Quest either. Like original, like they're
sure.
You know, I'd say they're pretty comparable.
I think I think the two hot takes go together, right? Because Resident Evil 4 in VR on the Quest, you can dual wield, you can move freely and shoot and aim. It's much more actiony and fast that way, right? And then playing just Resident Evil 4 without it, Leon just felt heavier. So
the Wii version of Resident Evil 4 is just like, dude, it's just headshots all the time. It's so good. I love aiming with the Wii remote in that game.
Yep.
It's great.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I loved the remake. I feel like I was very concerned that they weren't going to really embrace like Leon's cheesiness.
Yeah, that would have been a big.
I was very because he is like so pitch perfectly cheesy. I feel like Shinji Mikami is like so good at like understanding like the B movie tone, and Resident Evil 4 is just mwah. With all the one-liners and it's so good. And I don't think they quite hit the marks that the original version hit in terms of the writing, but it was clear though that they understood the target they needed to go for.
They understood the assignment.
Yes, they did, and I still think it was good. I thought Salazar was a disappointment compared to the original version.
I agree.
But overall, I really liked it. But I'd like to remake even more.
Yeah.
2 remake is just like I think it is the best non-Nintendo game of the last generation. I really like 2 Remake a lot. Like,
I like it too a lot. I was laughing at what Bitroast said.
I mean,
I don't think I'm obliterating Try in any way, but it made me laugh.
I mean, I can understand certainly thinking that the original version of 4 is a lot better. I mean, I'm undecided on that myself. For 2, like, I absolutely think the remake is better than the original. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
For 4, I don't know. I don't know.
VR's the way to go for me in that way.
Yeah.
And there are apparently PC mods for VR of Resident Evil 2 Remake and 3 Remake, but those are on the PC. And I feel like Capcom, please just do it. Clearly, RE Engine can turn any video game into a VR video game, along with anything else. Just do it, please.
That'd be
for
great.
the 10 of us that have a PSVR 2.
All right, well, this has been a blast. Thanks again
Yes.
for joining me on not super late notice, but I didn't ask you until 2 days ago.
Thank you for the invitation. I'm delighted. This was an
Yeah,
absolute hoot.
and thanks for the suggestion of the game. Like I said, I'm extremely impressed. This is a lot better than I thought it would be.
That makes me the most happy.
And everyone check out his podcast, and you do streams and stuff too.
Yes, I do. I write over at maxfrequency.net, and I've got the Max Frequency podcast, which Try has been on before. So if you want to listen to more Try and me talk
Corey's
while
been
we
on,
wait for the Nintendo Direct, there's that. There's one with Corey. All sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
So
John
hopefully
Linneman's got an episode there. Yeah.
he does. I
Yeah.
did that. They all 3 of them were back to back to back. It was like this great final life goal. You know, talk to the My Life in Gaming guys and Digital Foundry, all in a stretch. It was great.
Yeah. Well, anyway, keep an eye out for that Nintendo just rambling about Nintendo Direct for like 3 hours, and being very excited about all the games in that. So thanks again. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks everyone who donated. And Corey will be back next week. We might possibly have Pandemonium on next week, actually. I believe that is the plan. So, unless, schedules don't allow, I believe that's what we are intending to do. Maybe I don't know if we'll play some Sega Rally or whatever. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. So look forward to that.
Sounds like a blast.
And look for an episode before then. There will be an episode before then because I'm working on that Black Cart Game Boy episode and comparing the monochrome Super Game Boy and Game Boy Color versions of those. And it will be out before next stream because we have to earn our Factor sponsorship on a video released within the month of June. So that's I am working toward getting that done. So look for that, and good night, everybody.
Good night.